Chapter 1. Starting off with Mech Blueprints. National Defense University of the Dragon Country. Modern Warfare Theory Classroom. Sunlight gently cascades over the neatly arranged and vintage desks, resembling golden silk curtains. Every interplay of light and shadow seems to tell the story of this prestigious military academy's depth and history. Professor Ma Jiqiang, in his crisp military uniform, stands tall, with a posture as straight as a pine tree and a gaze deep and resolute. His eyes reveal the wisdom gained from countless war experiences and extensive research into modern warfare patterns. Below the podium sits a group of vibrant university students, also dressed in neat military uniforms. Bright eyes reflect a thirst for knowledge and curiosity about future warfare. Except for one person, Su Chan appears somewhat dazed. He shakes his head, surveying the unfamiliar environment with surprise, especially the military uniform he is wearing. What's going on? How did a science fiction author like him end up in military attire? Wait a minute. The chaotic memories in his mind gradually start to untangle. Before long, he finally understands what has happened. He has actually crossed over. He has taken on the identity of a student with the same name at the National Defense University of the Dragon Country, currently in his third year. Just as he figured out where he was and who he was, a voice pulled him back to reality. Classmates, today we will discuss the topic of future warfare patterns. Professor Ma Jiqiang's voice is steady and powerful, resonating like a war drum in the quiet classroom. Each word carries heavy significance. Some regions are currently experiencing intense localized conflicts. Before we start this lesson, I would like you to watch a video of a localized engagement between two armies. Professor Ma gestures for the students to look at the blackboard and presses the play button on the PPT. The video pops up, and he enlarges it. In the footage, a soldier is sprinting down a road at full speed. It's clear he's giving it his all, as if being chased by hungry wolves or grizzly bears. But the scene shifts. There are no ferocious beasts. Only a tiny drone, about the size of two palms, is trailing behind him, buzzing intermittently. One might think they are racing. However, soon after, the soldier suddenly turns and fires several shots at the drone, seemingly trying to shoot it down. In the tense environment, his aim falters, and the small bullets whiz past the drone. After several shots, the drone easily dodges them. In that moment of pause, the drone suddenly accelerates and closes in on the soldier. Before the students can ponder what will happen next, the video erupts with an explosion. Everyone jumps in shock. Only a few, including Su Chun, remain relatively calm. The explosion came from the drone. After the explosion, the drone flies like a projectile, sending the soldier tumbling through the air. White smoke billows and spreads several meters in the air, just enough to obscure the soldier's body that was thrown away. Although they can't see the shattered remains of the soldier, one can guess from the hat that flew off that his fate is undoubtedly tragic. This is a suicide drone. Once locked on, it seems there's no way out. It's as if it's been marked by death itself. The blackboard darkens, and the video ends. The classroom falls into a dead silence. Before entering the university classroom, such execution videos were classified as rated, and students were not allowed to see them. Yet now, they have witnessed a battlefield killing event firsthand. This is their first, somewhat realistic experience of the brutality of war. Professor Ma Jiqiang taps the desk to bring the day's students back to the class. He smiles calmly. Don't worry, such things won't happen to you for the time being. However, we must remain vigilant and think about how we should respond in such situations. So, I'd like you all to consider whether there are effective ways for soldiers to counter drones on the battlefield. The students fall into deep thought. The classroom grows quiet again, with only the faint sounds of breathing occasionally breaking the silence. Their minds race as they strive to find answers from their knowledge and understanding of warfare. After a moment, a student raises their hand to share their thoughts. Professor, I think we could develop more advanced electronic jamming devices to disrupt the drone's connection with its control center, thereby preventing it from carrying out such assassination missions. Professor Ma nods. That's a good idea. Drones ultimately rely on signals from control centers for operation, and developing portable electronic jamming devices to interrupt signal transmission is indeed a viable countermeasure. Another student speaks up. Professor, I suggest researching more powerful air defense weapon systems to assist soldiers in destroying drones from distance, thus protecting our troops and positions. Professor Ma smiles calmly. In the future, drones will likely evolve towards advanced individual and swarm scales. While advanced individual drones can be countered with remote assistance, swarm drones may pose a significant challenge to air defense systems. However, your idea is also worth considering and researching. Who knows? One day, we might develop a type of air defense weapon that can automatically track swarm drones. Professor, the students respond enthusiastically. Their suggestions are good and receive nods of approval from Professor Ma. Suchin listens to their contributions with great interest. As a science fiction author, he has many outlandish ideas. If it were up to me, I'd just build a mech like Iron Man and hit it back with a proton cannon. Not only drones, but even a mothership would get blown to pieces. Of course, he knows his answer is absurd. With current technology, it's impossible to create such things. However, coincidentally, at that moment, another student stands up, excitement gleaming in his eyes. Professor, I believe the concept of a powered exoskeleton for individual soldiers is feasible. Soldiers equipped with such exoskeletons would have the capability to install various technological devices, including, but not limited to, the electronic jamming devices mentioned by the previous student, thus having the means to counter drones effectively. Suchin is surprised someone has actually stolen his idea. This notion also receives high praise from Professor Ma Jiqiang. Your idea is very creative. Powered exoskeletons indeed have great theoretical potential. As he speaks, he pulls out a slide presentation, dimming the classroom lights, revealing a blurry image of a mech on the slide. This humanoid mech is predominantly silver gray, tall and imposing. Its head features a streamlined, helmet-like design. The torso is broad and sturdy, covered in intricate mechanical patterns and heat dissipation vents. In the center of the chest, there's an unclear device, seemingly an energy core emitting a faint glow. The wide shoulders each house a set of multifunctional weapon modules that appear to be switchable based on different combat needs. At first glance, this mysterious mech image seems to come from a battlefield of the future, exuding a strong sense of technology. Just as Suchin was curious about what this old professor was doing with a sci-fi image, Professor Ma Jiqiang's voice echoed in the quiet classroom that it was as shocking as a deep-sea bomb. Students, this is a concept image of a single-soldier combat mech, and it comes from a certain country. As soon as these words were spoken, the students were in an uproar. Such a technologically advanced mech concept was actually proposed by that country. Do not underestimate this concept image. Many great products start as mere concept images, especially when the country proposing this concept possesses immense technological strength. That country might really have the capability to realize it. That's what is most terrifying. Even Suchin couldn't help but feel a tightening in his heart. This country in this era can still manufacture mechs? He realized the horror of this. What is there left to play with? As a traveler, he felt apprehensive, not to mention the students. They felt an immense pressure. Ma Jiqiang continued. It is said that this mech not only grants soldiers tremendous strength and speed, its stealth capabilities are also very powerful. Even when facing drone warfare, it can release jamming signals to easily counter various forms of drones. And once it is truly developed, a soldier wearing this mech could handle dozens or even hundreds of soldiers, fundamentally changing the current combat form. The most terrifying aspect is its development potential. It opens the door to mechs, and who knows how it will evolve in the future. The students were stunned, feeling shocked by the mech concept image. At the same time, there was a deep sense of crisis. Mech manufacturing could very well become a focus of future weapon development. Whoever takes the lead might have the qualifications to dominate the world in the future. And it's not just a matter of equality in the face of nuclear weapons. What if they develop a mech that can withstand nuclear bombs? Finally, a student couldn't hold back. Professor, to what extent has that country progressed in the development of mechs? The students all turned their gazes toward Ma Jiqiang. He shook his head slightly. I'm not sure about the progress of that country's mech development. This image that has unintentionally leaked is merely a reference for our discussion. As he spoke, he suddenly changed his tone and raised his voice. However, I hope students can feel a sense of crisis and mission from this mech. Do not slack off during your future university days. Forge ahead and continue to study hard. Perhaps, within the next 100 years, you will become the chief mech manufacturers of our country. Seeing the serious expressions on the students' faces, Professor Ma felt satisfied with this lesson. It seemed he had achieved a certain teaching goal. However, in a corner of the classroom, Suchin sat quietly, a strange glint in his eyes. Not long after seeing the mech blueprints, he fell into a daze. He completely missed the professor's subsequent lecture. A mysterious voice kept echoing in his mind. Black Technology Recognition System has been activated. As long as the host recognizes the corresponding blueprints, they can obtain the complete RD data of this technology, detected that the host has recognized a certain mech concept blueprint. Starting to decompile. Warning. Decompilation failed. The system is beginning to call upon technical data from the system library for autonomous compilation. Compilation progress. 1, 2, 3. Compilation progress. 100. Compilation successful. Chapter 2 Mecha Model. No, I want to build a mecha. As the system's voice faded, a three-dimensional humanoid mecha suddenly appeared in the space of Su Chen's mind. It slowly rotated, showcasing its overall appearance to Su Chen. He came to his senses, his eyes wide open, staring in disbelief at the mecha before him. A system? A typical feature for travelers? Su Chen never expected that such a system actually existed and had come to him. He recalled the mechanical, synthesized voice of the system just now. By recognizing the corresponding blueprints, he could obtain the complete RD data for that technology. Just by glancing at the mecha concept diagram proposed by a certain influential entity, he had automatically acquired all the RD data related to mecha manufacturing. As the system finished compiling, Su Chen found that indeed something was engraved in his mind. Once he organized this memory, he exhaled heavily. Unbelievable. It truly was the complete RD data related to mecha manufacturing. This included not only technology and theory, but also digitized materials. These digitized materials could be brought from the system space into reality, directly transforming into real materials applicable for manufacturing. This meant that only one manufacturing step was needed to replicate it. This system was truly powerful. After arriving in this world, Su Chen was shocked twice. First, by the advanced technology presented by a certain influential entity. He never thought that in this world, they were so technologically advanced that they were considering building mechas. They even had concept diagrams. The second shock came from the system he possessed, especially its powerful functions. Su Chen shifted his gaze back to the mecha. This was far superior to the mecha concept diagram shown by Professor Ma Jiqiang in class. The mecha before him, while presenting a silver-gray metallic texture similar to the images he had seen, had a color quality that resulted from a variable color mimicry technology. In other words, it could change colors at will. Su Chen liked the combination of red and yellow and considered adapting it towards a style reminiscent of Iron Man. The material of the mecha was not just ordinary steel, but a special alloy that was exceptionally strong. According to the data provided by the system, it could easily withstand bullets from high-caliber rifles. Even shells from large-caliber howitzers could be ignored. On both shoulders, there was a set of multifunctional weapon modules capable of deploying laser emitters. A small protrusion on the chest was designated to house the energy core. The energy core of this mecha utilized a form of particle solid-state energy technology that was not yet fully mastered in this world. This was a solid material that stored and released energy by utilizing the special properties of microscopic particles, arranged and combined in a specific way to release enormous energy under certain conditions. And there was more. Su Chen could hardly enumerate all the advantages of this mecha. Almost every inch of it had remarkable details. At this moment, Su Chen was quite excited. For him, a writer of science fiction novels, the incentive to embark on this profession stemmed from a mecha movie he watched in his childhood. It is often said that boys have a mecha dream. And he was no exception. Mechas were almost a staple in every one of his works. And now, a mecha was appearing right in front of him. He wanted to reach out and touch it, but at that moment, a cylindrical barrier emitting a faint blue glow appeared around the mecha, blocking him. At the same time, a long string of changing numbers appeared on the barrier. Su Chen recognized it at a glance. It was a countdown. There was still quite a bit of time left. After calculating, it was 2 months. Please complete the manufacturing of this high-tech product within the specified time. If the manufacturing is not completed within the allotted time, the system will determine that you lack manufacturing capability and will retrieve the product. The system's voice suddenly echoed. Su Chen jolted, his expression turning to one of shock. No way. Are you kidding me, system? You want me to build this mecha in 2 months? Even though you have the materials. I don't have a workshop or manufacturing equipment. How am I supposed to do that? This isn't Lego. It's not something you can just assemble. This is a real mecha. Every detail is filled with technological intricacies that require careful consideration. 2 months. I would think 2 years would be tight. If you had someone else do it, it might take 20 years to complete. Just processing the materials alone would take a lot of time. What you think are materials are actually raw ores that need processing. Is there a machine in this world that can cut through a mecha that even a large caliber howitzer can't penetrate? Rest assured, the necessary manufacturing equipment has already been prepared by the system. As long as your practical skills are up to par, manufacturing this product should not be a problem. Su Chen was taken aback. Was the system this considerate? It had even prepared the equipment. As for his practical skills, he was quite confident. Although he was a writer, he often crafted corresponding models by hand to make the technology in his stories feel more real. Now that he had the materials and equipment, he just needed the manufacturing space. However, he was currently at a prestigious national defense university in the most bustling area of the country. Every inch of land was precious. If someone in the family passed away, they might not even be able to afford a burial plot. Where was he supposed to find a venue? Just as he was hesitating about what to do, Professor Ma Jiqiang's deep voice pulled him back to reality. Students, summer vacation is coming soon. Perfect timing. I have a summer assignment for you based on this course. The National Defense University is different from other schools. We still have summer assignments during the break. For these outstanding students, assignments are not a burden. Instead, they are somewhat exciting. Professor Ma continued, my requirements are not high. I just hope you can manufacture a mecha. Upon hearing this, the classroom erupted in an uproar. A mecha? Did I hear correctly? Professor Ma actually wants us to create mecha? That request isn't too demanding. How could I possibly make a mecha? Exactly. However, they soon heard Professor Ma's follow-up. A mecha model? So it's just a model. Everyone burst into laughter, thinking the professor was indeed humorous. Professor Ma Jiqiang also laughed. I certainly know that asking you to create a mecha is just a pipe dream. If you could actually make one, we should switch places, you'd stand in my position, and I'd be your student. Alright, no more jokes. I hope you can incorporate your creativity into this mecha model, especially those students who actively participated in class discussions. I'm really looking forward to your works. A few voices from the audience sounded somewhat smug. One could imagine that over the upcoming summer vacation, they would surely work hard to produce satisfactory projects for the professor. Su Chun was equally excited, but his excitement was different from the others. Professor Ma actually asked us to create a mecha model. Since that's the case, could I take this opportunity to borrow the laboratory from him? The National Defense University Comprehensive Laboratory. It is a large facility covering tens of thousands of square meters. There are 5 floors in total. Professor Ma is in charge of the top floor simulation equipment laboratory. It's a lab capable of simulating various complex environmental conditions. It is mainly used to test and evaluate the performance, reliability, and adaptability of equipment under various conditions it might encounter during actual use. Professor Ma has always encouraged students to visit the lab for learning and even to use it as an experimental venue. He isn't worried about equipment being damaged. The National Defense University isn't lacking in that area. However, the lab is closed during the summer. Students at the National Defense University have heavy academic loads and usually take the summer to relax. Even the professors are no exception. Aside from the necessary meetings, their social media is filled with various vacation travel videos. As he puts it, guarding the beautiful landscapes he loves. How could he not go out and see them? To prevent the mecha from being reclaimed by the system, this venue must be secured. What did you say? You want to borrow the lab key to make the mecha model during the summer? After class, Su Chun approached Professor Ma. The professor was clearly surprised by his idea. He had a good impression of Su Chun. The original owner was an ambitious student, which Professor Ma had noticed. This conversation certainly helped Su Chun's case. At least it didn't lead to an immediate rejection. Actually, in class, I've always wanted to hear your thoughts. I just didn't know what was going on. Today, I was a bit distracted. Little Su, could it be that you're in love? Su Chun didn't expect the original owner had a decent relationship with Professor Ma. At the same time, his expression became serious. Professor, I wasn't distracted. I was deeply contemplating the questions you posed. Professor Ma was about to say, you're talking nonsense. After teaching for so many years, can't I tell whether you're distracted or not? However, before he could finish his words, Su Chun spoke up next. I think, since mechas are used as weapons on future battlefields, using them to deal with drones is truly a waste of resources. A true mecha should definitely not be detectable by contemporary electronic devices, and drones are no exception. Even remote-controlled drones should lose all their imaging capabilities when they enter the energy field of a mecha. At the same time, they should possess flight capabilities to enhance maneuverability, utilizing new alloys to improve their ability to withstand various weapon attacks. Most importantly, as the core energy source, it must be abundant enough. And this energy should not only support mobility, but also serve as a power source for weapon systems to launch special forms of attacks. Su Chun continued to speak passionately, covering a wide range of topics. Anyone unaware might think he had built a mecha himself. Professor Ma was taken aback, not because Su Chun was particularly professional, but mainly because this kid had a lot of ideas. Some of them were quite creative. It's worth noting that the world does not yet have movies like Iron Man. People's concept of mechas is still just shiny metal shells. The simple concepts proposed by certain entities are enough to astonish the public, let alone what Su Chun suggested. Professor, I want to try applying these. He wanted to say he wanted to apply these technologies to mechas, but felt it wasn't appropriate. Any technology he mentioned was quite impressive, but saying it out loud felt like boasting. Just as he hesitated, Professor Ma spoke up. You want to apply these ideas to the mecha model, right? Su Chun was taken aback. Yeah, more or less. Just a few words off. Of course you can. Professor Ma agreed without a second thought. The school encourages students to innovate and does not want good ideas to be buried, and I fully support this. By the way, with so many ideas, why didn't you mention them earlier? Professor Ma criticized him, but it was constructive feedback. Saying this, he lifted his shirt hem, took a key card from his keychain, and handed it to Su Chun. Anyway, no one will be around during the summer break. You can do whatever you want, but you must ensure that you produce a mecha model that I approve of after the school year starts. Su Chun was momentarily stunned. Looking at the key card he had obtained so easily, he felt a sense of inexplicable gratitude. This feeling came from a teacher's trust in a student. It also stemmed from a bold support for talented individuals to innovate. Don't worry, Professor. I'll definitely make you proud. Su Chun vowed silently. A few days later, summer vacation arrived. The students left school, while Su Chun dragged his luggage into the deeper parts of the campus, specifically to the laboratory on the back mountain. Since he was going to live and work directly in the lab, everyone thought the top-level lab was empty. The main door was closed, and no one could come up. After setting up his equipment and materials, Su Chun got straight to work. Have you heard? The school's simulation equipment lab seems to be haunted. That is nonsense. We are a military academy. Who would dare to come in? Even if someone does, they're just a hero from the past. What is there to be afraid of? I'm not joking. I heard that someone saw 2 shadows through the window at night. One person putting a head on another. Nearly 2 months have passed. Summer vacation is about to end. Just before it wraps up, Su-chun has finally completed the mecha manufacturing. Chapter 3, Mecha Manufacturing Success. Hello BT, I am Iron Commander. The mecha is completed. This mecha is crafted from a special alloy and employs a color-mimicking function, presenting a design similar to that of a certain famous armored hero. The head of the mecha features smooth lines and sharp angles, covered with a deep blue intelligent protective coating. The torso is intricately designed, with its surface adorned with tiny energy flow patterns. These patterns emit a soft glow when the mecha operates, enhancing its technological feel and improving energy transmission efficiency. At the center of the chest lies a diamond-shaped energy core, pulsating with a mysterious blue light, containing formidable energy. The arms, composed of multiple joints, can perform various complex movements. The legs provide stable support for the mecha, featuring a special anti-slip material that maintains stability while standing and walking on various terrains. The knee area is equipped with a pair of small thrusters that can offer instant explosive power during combat, allowing the mecha to move quickly and evade attacks. The surface is covered with nano armor, providing high strength and toughness, capable of absorbing and reflecting attacks similar to laser weapons. Apart from the color adjustments made according to his preferences, the mecha is essentially identical to the one in the system space. Su-chun named it after a character from a game he played in his previous life, BT Iron Commander. Starting today, BT will fight alongside you. A mechanical synthesized voice emanated from within the mecha. It was the built-in system AI, similar to a certain AI from a popular movie. Though modified by Su-chun to sound like BT, this mecha incorporates fully intelligent design. While the system AI may not be as advanced, it can assist in managing various tasks. However, BT can resolve any internal system issues. Moreover, due to the presence of the intelligent AI, even without a pilot, it can execute action commands on its own. Who would have thought that I would have a day to become Iron Commander? Listening to BT's voice, Su-chun felt like he had crossed into the world of a certain game. The only lack of immersion might be that BT is a piloted mecha, while he developed it as a wearable device. It allows him to become a being similar to a superhero. However, there isn't much difference. After all, they're both quite impressive. After organizing the relevant data, Su-chun prepared to conduct basic tests on the mecha. This is a necessary step. With that thought, he casually picked up an empty soda can nearby, took a sip, and after finishing the drink, he suddenly threw it at the mecha. Clang! The can bounced off BT. Su-chun paused for a moment and asked, "Why didn't you dodge?" BT replied, "I did not receive a command to dodge." Additionally, the total weight of the can, including the remaining water and the condensation on it, is 0.0312 kg, and the speed at which you threw it towards me is 11 ms. The duration of its effect on me is 0.1 s, resulting in a destructive force of 342 N. This does not trigger the emergency evasion command. If you want me to execute an evasion command, you should throw an atomic bomb at me equivalent to 150,000 tons of TNT. Only then will I evade at twice the speed of sound, which is 680 ms. The mech is equipped with sensors to collect data. Even before the can turned into a weapon and struck the mech, it had already been locked onto by the sensors. Through rapid calculations, its mass, flight speed, and potential destructive force were all assessed. The mech may appear clumsy, but it showcases its powerful advanced technological capabilities. I can't throw a nuclear bomb. However, this indicates that the sensors on the mech are functioning well. They not only collect data, but also process it. Next, it's time to test the various performances of the mech. BT, please play Tchaikovsky's Swan Lake. This is a classical ballet from a certain region. As Su-chun spoke, BT immediately positioned its hands at its waist. One foot pointed on its toes, while the other bent at a 90-degree angle. In the spacious laboratory, it began to dance gracefully. Despite being a mech, it didn't have a heavy feeling. Each time it soared and landed like a swan. It didn't feel like a machine crashing onto the ground. Instead, it moved lightly like a person. Initially, Su-chun thought BT would appear very clunky. But at that moment, he realized he had completely overthought it. The body made of special alloys was not only lightweight, but also incredibly resilient. Even the most complex movements could be completed elegantly. The contrast was amusing. A mech performing Swan Lake. BT even accompanied itself with music. It was somewhat comical. As the performance concluded, BT's display was commendable. The connections between the mech's components were stable. Both the system AI and the mech itself were functioning properly, and the sensors passed the tests. Next, testing the transformation function. This could be described as a revolutionary, even frightening capability. BT, terminate mech form. BT acknowledged. As the command was given, a series of clicking sounds echoed. The mech emitted a unique sound of metal transforming. Its entire body changed, eventually taking on the appearance of a suitcase. After a color transformation, the red and yellow hues turned black. Now it had completely transformed into a suitcase. While it may seem like an inconspicuous function, it contains many advanced technologies. In short, whatever the transformers use, it can use. Su-chun picked up the suitcase and headed to the rooftop of the laboratory. It was nighttime, and being summer, the area around the laboratory was relatively dark and somewhat secluded. Next, Su-chun was about to test the most impressive capability of this mech, flight. This test would not only determine whether it could take off, but also evaluate the built-in navigation system and the flight stability system. He placed the suitcase beneath him. And after verifying his fingerprint and scanning his face, the suitcase opened, allowing the mech to automatically assemble itself. This was also the first time Suchin donned a real mech. He initially thought he would feel a sense of suffocation, but once he put it on, he realized it felt just like wearing clothes. No, it was even more comfortable than clothes. The mech could adjust itself according to the human body structure, fitting perfectly and achieving the most comfortable state, making various movements effortless. To some extent, he felt a spiritual resonance with the creator of the mech. Was this the feeling that the mech brought? Suchin was thoroughly enjoying it. He was currently checking the condition of the mech. The system indicated a sub-healthy state with constipation lasting for an estimated 7 days, suggesting the use of a specific medication. Suchin replied, "All right. I know you have a status system installed. Don't worry about me." He had been busy manufacturing the mech, not eating or sleeping well, so constipation was normal. However, it was good that he had successfully built it, and the system recovery time had vanished. This indicated a successful creation. As for the status system, it could not only monitor Suchin's condition but also the mech's own status, such as fuel levels, damage status, and ammunition reserves. Alright, BT. Now let's test the flight function. Activate flight mode. Let's get started. Beat BT received. Flight mode activated successfully, ready to execute flight commands. As the words were spoken, blue flames suddenly erupted beneath the mech's feet. The next second, whoosh, Suchin took off into the sky. Chapter 4. Encountering ghosts during patrol? It's actually the mech. In the nighttime airspace of the Dragon Kingdom, it resembled a magnificent painting shaded with deep ink, serene yet imposing. Above the clouds, an advanced fighter jet soared through the sky like a steel eagle, cutting through the air. Inside the cockpit, pilot Wang Feng was fully focused on flying the jet, executing his routine patrol mission. As an experienced and skilled pilot, protecting the nation's airspace was paramount to him. He glanced down at the ground, where a circle of lights surrounded a location. It was the National Defense University of the Dragon Kingdom, his alma mater. In fact, daily patrol missions were quite monotonous. This was precisely because the National Defense University was stationed there. It wasn't just an ordinary university. With national defense in its name, it was destined to be extraordinary. Initially, he thought it was simply a place for education, where the instructors were just teachers, albeit special ones who were all military personnel. However, as his abilities and status grew, he learned more secrets about the institution, leading to a greater sense of reverence for his alma mater. After all, no other school had air defense weapons like a military base. There is no other school that possesses rockets or satellite launch pads. Moreover, there is no other school that has the capability for nuclear strikes like this one. When the time comes, the buried nuclear facilities under the national defense will be activated, delivering a few packages to certain regions. And all of this, the National Defense Institution has. Rather than saying that Wang Feng is patrolling to protect this land, it is more accurate to say that the true guardian of this land is this school. Therefore, Wang Feng has never felt any danger. Of course, even so, he would not let his guard down. He maintains a high level of vigilance, demonstrating the professionalism expected of an elite pilot. After one more patrol, he can head back. Wang Feng thought to himself, it seems today will be another boring day. Boring is good. If he is bored, the people are safe. With this in mind, he slowly pushed the control stick forward. The fighter jet's engine roared, bursting into high speed. It instantly broke through the clouds ahead. He glanced at the scanning radar. Still no issues, so he prepared to return. Just then, he looked up and saw a dark figure appear in front of him. For a moment, Wang Feng felt a chill run down his spine. A figure? In the sky? Is this some kind of ghostly apparition from someone ascending to heaven? This was undoubtedly the most bizarre scene he had ever witnessed as a pilot. How else could it be explained? No one said that patrolling could involve encountering ghosts. However, even with the chill, Wang Feng remained calm. He displayed the composure of an excellent pilot, unafraid of any supernatural beings. If something dares to appear in the airspace of the homeland, even ghosts must stay here. He accelerated, knowing that firing was not an option. At most he could collide with it. In his childhood, he had seen on TV that ghosts did not have bodies. Just as the fighter jet accelerated and was about to collide, the shadow suddenly dodged away at high speed. Wang Feng turned his head and happened to make eye contact with the figure that had evaded to the side of the jet. Wang Feng's eyes widened. He was taken aback. The shock reflected in his gaze was even more intense than seeing a ghost. It wasn't a ghost. It was a mech. Wang Feng was utterly shocked. The mechs he had only seen on TV were now vividly present before him. He was certain he wasn't mistaken. Pilots have high requirements for vision, and he had almost collided with it. What Wang Feng thought? What on earth is this mech? It didn't show up on my radar. The first lesson in professionalism is to contact the ground when encountering a situation. Calling the ground command center, this is Wang Feng, pilot of the J-20. Coordinates above the National Defense University, unidentified flying object spotted. Repeating, coordinates above the National Defense University, unidentified flying object spotted. Requesting instructions. Requesting instructions. The Air Force Base and the Ground Command Center, which were always monitoring Wang Feng's movements, became tense upon hearing his report. The base commander, who happened to be on duty that night, was a middle-aged general named Lu Qingji. Upon hearing Wang Feng's report, he was immediately startled. Immediately respond. Activate all detection equipment. Determine the specific location and nature of the unidentified flying object. Following this, an order was given to Wang Feng. Do not initiate any attacks until the nature of the other party is confirmed. just as this order was issued. He heard reports from the staff. Report, Chief, our ground conventional monitoring radar has not detected any suspicious flying objects. Report, Chief. We have activated the phased array radar and switched the beam direction several times towards national defense, but still found no suspicious flying objects. The words from his subordinates reached Lu Qingji's ears, making the general's expression serious. All measures have been exhausted, and they still cannot monitor that unidentified flying object. Wang Feng, are you sure you saw that unidentified flying object clearly? The command platform echoed with Wang Feng's voice. Chief, it's right next to me, flying alongside me. As soon as these words were spoken, the command center erupted in chaos. If it is a flying object sent by enemies, it is undoubtedly a provocation. More critically, the maximum flight speed of the advanced fighter jet exceeds Mach 2. What kind of flying object can fly that fast? Could it also be a fighter jet? Of course, now is not the time to think about these things. With all monitoring means failing, it is evident that the opponent possesses super stealth capabilities. It is crucial to determine whether the unidentified flying object is friend or foe. Meanwhile, just as Lu Qingji was trying to ascertain the shape of the unidentified flying object, Wang Feng reported again. Report to the command center. The unidentified flying object is a humanoid mecha. I repeat, the unidentified flying object is a humanoid mecha. A mecha. It's actually a mecha. A mecha that can fly at a speed of Mach 2. If Wang Feng's first statement had left them doubting their hearing, the repetition of the same information left no room for disbelief. My goodness, there's a mecha flying above them. The faces of everyone in the command center turned pale. Some were so shocked that their mouths were agape, as if they could fit a quail egg inside. Lu Qingji was no exception. But he quickly regained his composure and responded. Contact the research institute to see if it is a mecha they developed. At the same time, remind Wang Feng to keep a distance. Do not attack unless the other party strikes first. If it is a mecha developed by the research institute, it would be a huge loss if it gets destroyed. Upon learning that it might be a mecha developed by the research institute, everyone in the command center felt a glimmer of hope. The Dragon Country Military Research Institute received the news immediately. What? You're asking if we have developed mechas? How could we possibly research that kind of thing? Why would you ask such a question? Please don't tell me you found an unknown mecha in our country. Huh? What? You really found a mecha? Report, Chief. We have inquired with the Dragon Country Military Research Institute, and they do not have any mecha research projects. Moreover, it has not been distributed to the subordinate research institutes. This mech is not an official project outcome. Upon hearing this, the atmosphere in the command center immediately dropped to freezing point. If it's not developed by us, does that mean it's from another country? I heard that a certain country previously proposed a concept design for a mech. It can't possibly be them. One staff member's words made everyone's expressions grow increasingly serious. If it really is a mech manufactured by that country, they dared not think further. It felt as if the future world order was about to change today. It was reminiscent of the moment when the first atomic bomb was detonated. Even Lu Qingji's expression turned frighteningly serious. He picked up the microphone and spoke heavily into it. Comrade Wang Feng, the command center is issuing you an order. We hope you can bravely and firmly intercept the unidentified mech. If the other side refuses to cooperate, for your own safety, you may prioritize initiating firepower against them. Once you find yourself at a disadvantage, you can swiftly parachute. Chapter 5. Failed interception of the mech. The terrifying speed exceeds that of advanced fighters. The originally peaceful and vast night sky was now filled with a tense atmosphere due to the appearance of the unidentified mech. The presence of an unidentified mech in the national airspace is extremely dangerous for the nation. An interception is necessary. Otherwise, it's uncertain what harm this mech could inflict on the civilians below. This task is exceptionally daunting, and for pilot Wang Feng, it may be the toughest challenge of his life. He looked down at the myriad of lights below, and a bitter smile appeared on his lips. Thinking of Commander Lu Qingji's last remark, if you find yourself at a disadvantage, you can parachute. How could he possibly parachute? Once he parachuted, the plane would crash in this most prosperous area. The casualties caused would undoubtedly be significant. In his mind, parachuting became the first option to be dismissed. Even if he were to die, he must ensure the plane crashes in the safest area. Meanwhile, at the ground command center, a vehicle stopped at the entrance. Soon, an elderly man in military uniform strode in with powerful steps. Every staff member who saw him greeted him warmly. As the head of the Aviation Research Institute, Zhao Konghua had frequently visited the command center for research on fighter jets. The staff here were very familiar with him. They all knew that the institute had a vigorous director who, despite being of retirement age, was determined to fight for the country until his last breath. Director Zhao, what brings you here? You should take care of your health at this late hour. Upon seeing Zhao Konghua, Lu Qingji immediately spoke. My health is fine. Zhao Konghua waved his hand. Is it true what I heard? I was told that an unidentified flying mech was spotted in the airspace above the national defense area. Zhao Konghua walked up beside him, and he was indeed here for this matter. A flying mech. It was something he had never even dared to dream of. As a key figure who witnessed the gradual rise of the nation's Air Force, he was well aware that the development of the Air Force had already hit a bottleneck. If one wants to delve deeper, they must either focus on the engine or seek alternative paths. However, the engine has already hit a bottleneck due to extensive exploration. Therefore, alternative paths must be sought. He still wished to contribute to the nation with the last bit of strength he had left. Yet, he struggled to find a breakthrough. But today, He heard that a humanoid mecha capable of flight had appeared in the skies above the nation. It was flying alongside advanced fighter jets. This news was like a bolt from the blue. His intuition told him that this mecha definitely possessed many technologies that were more advanced than theirs. Or perhaps completely unheard of. It's true. Director Zhao, I have already assigned our pilot, Comrade Wang Feng, the task of interception. If there are difficulties, I am ready to mobilize another air squadron. Lu Qingji seemed to have made a certain determination. Upon hearing his words, Zhao Konghua nodded. Commander Lu, this mecha must possess many unknown technologies. We must intercept it. Even if it's just the wreckage, its research value is crucial for us. Zhao Konghua expressed high recognition for this mecha. Lu Qingji slightly nodded, clearly agreeing with his thoughts. Subsequently, Commander Lu hesitated for a moment, then looked at this leading expert in the aviation field of the nation and tentatively asked, Director Zhao, do you think this could be a mecha made by a certain country? Zhao Konghua seemed to anticipate this question. After all, even he had been pondering this point. However, he could not provide a definitive answer. Such an advanced mecha could either be manufactured by that country, as they had previously released a concept diagram for a mecha, indicating they had plans in place, or it could be an extraterrestrial visit, leading to a first contact scenario. But do you believe in extraterrestrials? Lu Qingji shook his head. Zhao Konghua sighed helplessly. He didn't believe either. No. To be precise, he didn't believe that extraterrestrials would come to visit their nation in mechas at this time. So it must be that country. Even experts say so. The atmosphere in the command center grew increasingly tense. Meanwhile, Wang Feng had also initiated action. Unknown mecha. You have entered the national airspace. Please immediately identify yourself and state your purpose. Otherwise, we will take mandatory measures. Wang Feng's voice was steady and powerful, transmitting through radio waves to the mysterious target. However, the only response was silence. The unidentified mecha continued to fly silently, seemingly ignoring Wang Feng's warning. Wang Feng gritted his teeth, deciding to take further action. He pushed the control stick, and the advanced fighter jet accelerated forward, attempting to get closer to the unidentified mecha. As the distance gradually closed, Wang Feng saw the mysterious entity more clearly. The unidentified mecha radiated a cold, smooth metallic sheen. Its shape featured delicate lines full of a sense of technology. The surface bore peculiar patterns and designs. A slightly glowing blue crystal in the center seemed to be the energy core. Wang Feng issued another warning. This is the final warning, and if you refuse to cooperate, we will launch an attack. However, the unidentified mech remained unresponsive. A sense of helplessness and urgency surged within Wang Feng. He knew time was running out, and there could be no further delay. He had to intercept the mech. The so-called interception could be seen as a show of force. It might involve accompanying the target, blocking its flight, or squeezing its flying space. If necessary, it could escalate to a real attack on the target, which was usually the last resort. Wang Feng chose to accompany the flight first. He couldn't easily fire his weapon. If the other party was from a certain nation, they might recognize it as a deterrent. But if they were aliens, Wang Feng swallowed hard. What if they misunderstood his intentions, thinking it was a provocation, and initiated a direct conflict? The situation could deteriorate in an instant. He wasn't afraid of death, but he feared crashing the aircraft and harming people on the ground. So, he pushed the joystick again and headed towards the mech, preparing to warn the other party in this manner. The mech reacted quickly. Small blue flames erupted from its shoulders and calves. Although the flames were small, they produced an astonishing thrust. It propelled the mech several hundred meters upward, easily dodging the impact of the fighter jet. At the same time, it appeared directly above the jet. Just as Wang Feng was ready to continue intercepting, the mech suddenly shook. With a bang, a shadow appeared above him, directly overhead. He quickly adjusted the joystick to stabilize his position and slowly raised his head. To his surprise, the mech had appeared on top of the fighter jet. Meanwhile, the other party slowly extended a hand and gave him a thumbs up. Wang Feng. Then, it swiftly left the fighter jet. Wang Feng was left in a daze. What was going on? Tower. Did we just experience some anomaly? Lu Qingji's voice came through. Wang Feng quickly regained his composure and explained, no, that mech was standing on top of the fighter jet. As soon as he said this, the entire command room was stunned. Was this a mech or a superhero? How could it stand on top of a fighter jet? Just imagining it seemed impossible. It was like a scene from a movie. Director Zhao Konghua, however, was increasingly amazed by the technology on the mech. It indicated that the mech's flight system was incredibly stable. Meanwhile, Lu Qingji was more concerned about Wang Feng's safety. Is it still above you? No, sir. It has left the aircraft. Did it do anything to you? Wang Feng replied. If I had to say it did something, it gave me a thumbs up. Lu Qingji, the middle finger? A sign of disrespect? From a certain nation? At that moment, Lu Qingji boldly asserted that the mech was definitely from that nation. Why else would it give a hand gesture? Aliens wouldn't have such customs. It had to be from that nation, and they must have intended to insult us with a middle finger. The others shared Lu Qingji's thoughts, but they were mistaken. It was a thumbs up, as Wang Feng had stated. The crowd fell into a daze once again. Why on earth were they giving a thumbs up to Wang Feng? Or was it that the other party wanted to use this method to mock him? They couldn't understand it. Really couldn't. And they didn't care about such details anymore. Lu Qingji said, ignore these little interludes. Continue the interception. The J-20, as our 5th-generation fighter, possesses combat capabilities even in front of the top-tier aircraft. Its speed is also impressive. Since it dares to come over, whether friend or foe, intercept them all. Zhao Konghua also expressed strong agreement. This is an excellent aircraft that embodies decades of our hard work. While this mecha has other excellent performances, when it comes to flight speed, our J-20 is not to be underestimated. Saying this, he took the microphone and spoke inside. Comrade Wang Feng. I am the director of the Aviation Research Institute. I hope you can live up to expectations and help us intercept this mecha. This mecha is extremely important to us, whether intact or in pieces. He reiterated what he had said to Lu Qingji to Wang Feng. However, at that moment, the other party's microphone suddenly fell silent. On the big screen, it was visible that the J-20's speed was increasing rapidly. It had even exceeded the usual maximum speed of 2 Mach. The sudden change caught everyone off guard. Was this a full-on pursuit? Just as everyone was puzzled, Wang Feng's urgent voice came through the microphone. Report to the command center. The J-20's speed has reached its limit. However, the distance to the unidentified mecha is increasing. The mecha is about to disappear from sight. In fact, if it weren't for the light trails on the mecha, Wang Feng would have lost sight of it a long time ago. At that moment, his words were like thunder, exploding in everyone's hearts. Especially for director Zhao Konghua. This was the 5th-generation fighter that their military experts had poured countless efforts into. How could it be so inadequate in front of the unidentified mecha? It was being pulled further and further away. How outrageous. Was the mecha from that country already this terrifying? Chapter 6. The Terrifying Mecha. The base has activated Level 2 combat readiness. In the ground command center, the atmosphere was heavy and tense. The massive electronic screen was flashing various data, seemingly narrating the enormous challenge posed by this mysterious visitor. The J-20, a technological crystallization that embodies decades of effort from the nation, and also the first 5th-generation fighter. Its performance metrics are nearly at the forefront of the world. Its flight speed even exceeds the terrifying 2 Mach. Yet even so, in front of the suddenly appearing mysterious mecha, it still seemed insufficient. During the pursuit of this mecha, the distance was only increasing. The pilot, Wang Feng, had already pushed the aircraft's speed to its limit. Director Zhao Konghua witnessed this from the data feedback of the aircraft. The speed of the J-20 had indeed reached its limit. This indicated that the speed of the 5th-generation fighter truly could not match that of the mecha. This was a rather terrifying reality. According to the news later relayed by Wang Feng, the mysterious mech is a humanoid type, with a body size similar to that of an average adult. If this mech were any larger, they wouldn't be too surprised. The key point is that it is the size of a normal person. There's no place to house an engine, so how could it achieve supersonic flight? The 5th-generation fighter jet, which is equipped with advanced domestically produced engines from the Taiying series, has significantly improved thrust, performance, and reliability compared to previous models. And this is not even the most advanced. The country has also developed an even more advanced WS-15 engine, which possesses powerful thrust and excellent vector thrust capabilities, capable of maximizing the speed of the 5th-generation fighter. Currently, it is still in the testing phase, with only a limited number of aircraft equipped with this engine. The fighter jet that Wang Feng is piloting is one of those equipped with the WS-15 engine. This means that the speed of the mysterious mech exceeds that of the 5th-generation fighter jet, surpassing even the most advanced fighter equipped with the latest engines. Only a few people, such as Lu Qingji and Zhao Konghua, are aware of this. This is also why Lu Qingji entrusted the daunting task of intercepting the mech to him alone for the time being. He had a certain level of confidence in Wang Feng and the fighter jet he was piloting. However, that confidence now seems shattered. They dare not voice their concerns, fearing it would cause panic within the command center. The mech's speed completely outclassing their most advanced 5th-generation fighter, and it might even be of foreign manufacture, would undoubtedly raise alarm among everyone. Moreover, it's not just an issue of extreme supersonic speed. Zhao Konghua looked at the grim-faced Lu Qingji. Didn't our monitoring methods detect this mech at all? Although Lu Qingji was reluctant to admit it, he eventually nodded helplessly. Indeed. Sigh. Neither conventional detection methods nor phased array radar picked up on it. Zhao Konghua sat down heavily in an empty seat, his face gradually paling. This indicates that the opponent possesses super stealth capabilities that evade detection radar, with the ability to fly at extreme supersonic speeds and super stealth capabilities. This poses a significant challenge to our future national defense efforts. Lu Qingji remained non-committal, as the head of the base command center responsible for the daunting national defense tasks. He was more worried than anyone else. If the opponent were even slightly larger, he wouldn't feel so anxious. If the body were sufficiently large, even with stealth, it could still be visually detected as much as possible. Air defense weapons would also have an easier time locking on, but it just happens to be the same size as a person, making it resemble a mosquito in the sky. It's like using a cannon to shoot a mosquito. How could they even hit it? And at such high speed? At this point, Zhao Konghua seemed to have thought of something. He suddenly spoke up. Since the opponent is in a stealth state, how do we detect them? Lu Qingji spoke up. Naturally, it was Comrade Wang Feng who saw it with his own eyes. According to him, that mecha was standing right in front of him, and he initially thought it was a ghost ascending. Lu Qingji seemed to guess Zhao Konghua's thoughts and said again, Director Zhao, could that mecha actually hover in midair? Zhao Konghua's expression became more complex. I'm afraid it's more than that. Just think about it. What significance does it have for a mecha to hover in the air without moving? Lu Qingji didn't understand his meaning. Zhao Konghua, not blaming him, continued. I hope it hasn't discovered our aircraft in advance and is deliberately waiting for Comrade Wang Feng. Upon hearing this, Lu Qingji's mind exploded like a thunderclap. He was shocked and exclaimed, "Are you saying that this mecha not only has terrifying stealth capabilities, but also the ability to detect stealth aircraft? My goodness, what kind of monster is this? It can detect stealth aircraft without being detected by them or ground radar. That is an incredibly terrifying capability. Where on earth did this mecha come from? Could it really be from a certain country's research? They have only proposed the concept of mecha for a few years. Could it really be true that when they showcase some high-tech technology, they are already in mass production? Have they been secretly researching mecha all along? And what we see now is just their finished product." Lu Qingji could hardly contain himself. The fifth-generation aircraft is completely outclassed by that mecha in almost every capability. Originally, the J-20 was like a treasure in his heart, akin to the first college student in the village. While all countries were striving to cultivate their own talents, suddenly a postdoctoral researcher emerged from nowhere. It's not an exaggeration to say he felt like collapsing. What he found even harder to accept was that this postdoctoral researcher was likely from a certain country. At that moment, a sense of powerlessness surged within him, as if he were from a different era. It was like the Qing dynasty facing the sun, never-setting empire after the Industrial Revolution. The profound sense of helplessness that arose from being comprehensively outclassed technologically, and an unprecedented sense of crisis. Clearly, Zhao Konghua, who was focused on research, wasn't thinking about this. This is a major opportunity for the development of our national defense technology. If we could study this mecha, it would definitely propel our technology into a new era. He clenched his fist, his eyes shining with a passion that was not typical for his age. Lu Qingji felt helpless. How could he still be thinking about researching it at a time like this? Doesn't he realize what kind of danger this could bring to our country? It seems an emergency meeting must be held. He ordered his subordinates to contact the high-ranking officials at the base to prepare for an emergency meeting. At the same time, he issued a return order to Wang Feng. In the sky, looking at the mecha that had completely disappeared, Wang Feng also felt a deep sense of powerlessness. He couldn't help but worry. He ran through the scenarios in his mind several times. If he were to engage in a fierce battle with that mecha, what were his chances of winning? The answer was always zero. No chance at all. Because he felt that as soon as the battle began, the mecha would fly over his head at a terrifying speed and land above the fuselage. Then it would smash the cockpit cover with a punch and throw him out of his seat, even without seeing the opponent's attack. Just the speed and the extremely high maneuverability made him feel despair. The more he thought about it, the more exhausted he felt. At that moment, it seemed like he had lost some fighting spirit. This resilient pilot, at this moment, found it hard to muster his fighting spirit. After Wang Feng returned to base, the senior officials at the command center all gathered. After Lu Qingji explained the situation to the high-ranking officials, he proposed his idea, that is to activate the secondary combat readiness status. The secondary combat readiness status means that all personnel enter a state of high alert. All kinds of weapons and defense systems are fully activated, ready to respond to possible threats at any time. Generally, such a situation is already very critical. It cannot be activated lightly. But at this moment, his proposal was passed unanimously. Lu Qingji simply narrated the entire incident, which shook the high-ranking officials. They all cast their votes in favor. It was evident that he was not the only one worried. With the activation of the secondary combat readiness status, the entire base became busy. Soldiers quickly entered combat positions, radar systems continuously scanned the sky, and missile launchers were also prepared for immediate launch. Chapter 7. Ma Jiqiang returns to school. What the heck is a 200,000 bill? The Air Force Base fully activated the secondary combat readiness status. All personnel were on high alert. The radar kept rotating, monitoring equipment operated at full power, not missing any unusual movements in the sky. Everyone knew the seriousness of this incident. They bore the heavy responsibility of defending the country's airspace security and dared not relax for a moment. Inside the Air Force Base, the 11th Aviation Brigade had 24 aircraft on standby at all times. That night, Lu Qingji reported the discovery of the mecha over the National Defense Airspace to the highest command of the military region. The entire combat zone and neighboring zones began to cooperate and defend the airspace. They all started closely monitoring the sky. Nearly 1,000 aircraft were on standby. A large net had been silently cast. On one side was the defense setup. On the other side, orders were given for Lu Qingji to coordinate with the army-based departments to search for the whereabouts of the unidentified mecha with full effort. No clue could be overlooked. Numerous plainclothes officers rushed in to look for possible witnesses. In the comprehensive laboratory, Su Chun had already returned to the rooftop. The camouflage technology on this mecha was truly invincible. Not only could it evade detection by various radar devices, but as long as it stood still, it could also choose to blend in with the surrounding environment, achieving invisibility. He had quietly returned using this function, trying his best not to be discovered. But just not being discovered by people doesn't mean he wasn't detected by the surveillance systems of the region. Even if this mecha could interfere with cameras within a certain range, making them pause, once it left that range, the surveillance devices hidden in unknown corners could still recover. And even Su Chin couldn't be sure whether he had been captured. However, even if he was photographed, he didn't care. Sooner or later, it would be exposed anyway. Moreover, today definitely counted as a different kind of experience. He never expected to see the most advanced fifth-generation fighter jet. In his previous life, He had always wanted to see this legendary fifth-generation fighter, but he never had the chance. Not only did he see it today, but he also greeted the pilot inside. He must have felt my goodwill, right? It was quite rewarding. Although Su Chun now possessed the powerful technology of mechs, he was still a huge military enthusiast in his previous life. He particularly liked the fifth-generation fighters, large destroyers, and aircraft carriers, which embodied many advanced technologies. When he took to the skies, and, under the reminder from BT, noticed a fifth-generation fighter flying towards him, he decided to stay put and wait for it. He just wanted to see the true form of the fifth-generation fighter with his own eyes. To be honest, it looked much more imposing and powerful than on TV. However, the pilot was a bit reckless. He came straight at him without fear of crashing the plane. Luckily, he was fast enough. Otherwise, he would have had to hold onto the wreckage and deliver it home. It's worth mentioning that wearing the mech suit, with rocket propulsion devices in the arms, elbows, and legs, gave Su Chun terrifying strength. Coupled with the sturdy external armor and internal shock-absorbing devices, he could punch through a main battle tank and come out unscathed. Of course, the performance of the fifth-generation fighter was impressive, and he didn't want to miss the opportunity to test the mech. So he flew alongside it. Testing the flight speed of the mech, he easily reached Mach 3, 3 times the speed of sound. The maximum speed could reach Mach 5. At such speeds, the mech remained remarkably stable. The flight stability system passed the tests. After flying outside for nearly an hour, upon returning, the energy usage level was only 0.001. The built-in solar energy conversion device could convert solar energy into the mech's power with extremely high efficiency. It only took a minute to replenish the energy lost earlier. Of course, this device wouldn't work at night. At this point, he removed the armor and sat cross-legged on the rooftop. The breeze on the rooftop was quite pleasant. He took out a notebook and a pen and began to write his experimental log diligently. He planned to record detailed data and theories about the mech. Unknowingly, he wrote until dawn. Feeling somewhat tired, Su Chun decided to find a place to lie down and rest. Meanwhile, a black sedan slowly drove into the campus of the National Defense University. The summer campus was tranquil and peaceful. The tree-lined road was filled with a serene atmosphere as the sycamores swayed gently. Soon after, Professor Ma Jiqiang got out of the car, returning to the familiar campus. The old professor couldn't help but stretch. He had spent the whole day on a plane, returning from a forum abroad. With the summer vacation coming to an end, he also began to prepare for the new school year. The campus was indeed great. It was filled with the breath of youth. I feel like I've become younger. Ma Jiqiang twisted his back, which had stiffened from long hours of driving. At this moment, his gaze passed through several teaching buildings and landed on the comprehensive laboratory. A smile appeared on his calm face, accompanied by a hint of anticipation. The holiday was about to end, and he wondered what surprises Su Chun had prepared for him. With so many creative ideas, it was bound to be a great mecha model. Although he had been busy or traveling outside during the break and hadn't returned to school much, he knew that Su Chun had been in the laboratory all along. He hadn't even gone home. Ma Jiqiang advocated for an encouraging educational approach, even if the mecha model Su Chun created wasn't perfect. As long as Su Chun took it seriously, he would still offer encouragement. With this thought in mind, he planned to return to his office first, and then head to the laboratory to see Su Chun's masterpiece. However, just after he got out of the car, a middle-aged man wearing glasses appeared in front of him, as if he had been waiting for him. Ma Jiqiang recognized the man. It was Zhao Tian, the deputy director of the finance department. Professor Ma, I've finally been waiting for you. Zhao Tian hurried over. Ma Jiqiang smiled broadly. What's up, Lao Zhao? Miss me after 2 months? Zhao Tian nodded repeatedly. Of course. As a leading figure in our engineering school, and my elder, I definitely missed you. By the way, I happen to have a laboratory bill that needs your signature. Ma Jiqiang rolled his eyes. So that's why you came to find me. Zhao Tian smiled calmly and did not deny it. The laboratory often had bills that needed Ma Jiqiang's signature as the person in charge due to equipment upgrades and the replenishment of certain supplies. This was a normal occurrence. However, it was the first time he was specifically waiting for him to sign. Ma Jiqiang didn't think much of it. Perhaps it was just a coincidence. He then took the bill and the pen from Zhao Tian and was about to sign it when his gaze lightly scanned the bill. In the next second, Ma Jiqiang's eyes widened in shock. 200,000. He blinked, thinking he must have misread it. After looking twice more and confirming he wasn't mistaken, he quickly turned to Zhao Tian, bewildered. How could it be that much? Isn't this just basic supplies? Did they upgrade some equipment for the laboratory? Zhao Tian shrugged, indicating that he didn't know either. Ma Jiqiang felt something was off. He clearly remembered that all the necessary equipment had been replaced before the summer break. There shouldn't be any further upgrades. So what was this 200,000 for? Wait a minute, I can't sign this bill. I need to verify it in the laboratory. Zhao Tian had no reason to refuse. Okay, Professor Ma, I'll wait for you in your office. Ma Jiqiang nodded, adjusted his belt, and strode towards the laboratory. As he walked, he picked up his phone to call Su Chun, but the other party did not answer. He dialed several times, but no one answered. He quickened his pace towards the laboratory. Ding! Facial recognition verification passed. Arriving at the laboratory floor he was responsible for, Ma Jiqiang opened the door. Just as he wanted to ask Su Chun what was going on, he found that Su Chun was not there. At that moment, the laboratory was in chaos. The once brand new equipment was now filled with signs of use. It looked like a saint thrown into a goblin cave, seemingly suffering endless devastation. He opened the laboratory's storage room and found that the supplies had been completely used up. Ma Jiqiang was once again in shock. Had the laboratory been robbed? Chapter 8. You want me to make models? Are you serious? Ma Jiqiang was anxious, filled with confusion and unease. That enormous laboratory bill weighed heavily on his heart like a stone, and the chaotic scene in the lab made him feel like he was sitting on needles. He urgently wanted to clarify what had happened from Su Chen. He picked up his phone again and dialed Su Chen's number. With each ring, it felt like it was teasing Ma Jiqiang's nerves. Finally, the call connected. On the other end of the line, a somewhat lazy voice came through, as if just waking up, or perhaps disturbed by the phone. Hello? Professor Ma, what can I do for you? The previously calm Ma Jiqiang couldn't hold back anymore upon hearing Su Chen's words. Are you really asking me what is going on? Don't you know? I just returned to the school and didn't see the mecha model you made, but I saw a bill for 200,000. Do you know how I feel right now? Su Chen was a bit surprised. Professor, you're back at school? Su Chen, can't you focus on what I'm saying? Professor Ma was so furious he was rolling his eyes. Tell me, what is going on with this 200,000 bill? And what about that equipment? Damn it, the more I talk, the angrier I get. They were all pristine treasures. And I go away for just 2 months, and now they all look like donkeys rolling in the mud. When I first entered the lab, I thought I walked into some broken workshop. I trusted you so much. Do you deserve the trust of your teacher? You better give me an explanation. Su Chen felt a bit awkward and chuckled awkwardly. About that bill. I was making the mecha, and then I accidentally went a little over budget. A little over budget? Professor Ma was utterly helpless. Is that what you call a little? This is 200,000. Do you know that an ordinary family might not save up that much in 3 to 5 years? Su Chen was also helpless. Originally, he thought that with the materials provided by the system, he could just find a place to use the equipment. Who knew that most of the materials given were just the main ones, and other common materials still needed to be purchased. Plus, a lot of consumables were needed during the manufacturing process. Luckily, there were plenty of consumables in the lab, and fortunately, the bill could be charged to the laboratory. Although 200,000 was a lot, but Su Chen had no choice. If he couldn't produce the mecha within 2 months, it would be reclaimed by the system. So Su Chen could only brace himself, and, under the guise of the laboratory, exceeded the budget by over 200,000. However, he certainly doesn't regret it. Given another chance, he would still unhesitatingly choose the latter over the former. I just asked you to create a mech model, and you've made such a huge mess. If others didn't know, they would think you built a real mech. Where are you now? I'm coming to find you right away. And you must give me a perfect explanation. Professor Ma rolled up his sleeves. Although he is a cultured person, he has a military background and knows a bit about fighting. Of course, it wouldn't come to blows with Su Chen. He was just angry. Su Chen's mouth twitched. Realizing that Professor Ma was genuinely upset, he glanced at the black briefcase beside him and told himself to stay calm. I'm on the rooftop. Su Chen spoke up. The mech is up there too. He added. Professor Ma looked up at the ceiling. All right, you just wait for me. He hung up the phone, put away his mobile, tightened his belt, and rushed to the rooftop. On the rooftop, the warm summer breeze made people restless. Professor Ma arrived and saw Su Chen quietly standing to the side, holding a notebook. Stand at attention, Professor Ma commanded. Su Chen's body shook, and he immediately stood at attention. Standing at attention had become a second nature for students of the National Defense University. Upon hearing the command, they must respond. Professor Ma walked over to him, sizing him up. You little rascal, you've caused such a big mess. Let us see how you resolve this. If you can't produce results, that's embezzlement. That could land you in prison for several years. Your life has just begun. In fact, after going upstairs, he had already made up his mind to cover the 200,000 out of his own pocket. Otherwise, shifting all the blame to Su Chen would be easier for him, but it would ruin Su Chen's life. He didn't want to see Su Chen's life destroyed like this. Moreover, he believed he also had a responsibility. As he was the one who had personally handed the key card to Su Chen, he just feared that by taking all the responsibility this time, he might not dare to easily trust students again in the future. Su Chen, you really disappoint me. Tell me, where did that money actually go? And what with the lab supplies being completely depleted? Su Chen was taken aback. Professor, didn't I say? It was all used to create the mech. Nonsense. Ma Jiqiang didn't believe it. A model could use up all the lab supplies? A model could cost 200,000? A model could turn all the brand new lab equipment into a rundown workshop? Su Chen wanted to say it wasn't a model, but a real mech. But before he could say it, Ma Jiqiang's words cut him off. He carefully looked at the rooftop of the lab. Then he looked at Su Chen. Didn't you say the mech model was on the rooftop? Why can't I see it? Don't tell me it's some kind of divine mech that a fool can't see. He was very eager to know what the mech model that cost 200,000 and used a lot of supplies looked like. However, at this moment, Su Chen remained indifferent. Professor Ma helplessly grimaced and said, stand down. Only then did Su Chen relax his body. He exhaled and pointed to a nearby black briefcase. Professor, that's the one. The mech I created. Professor Ma slowly turned his head to look at the black briefcase. In an instant, he felt dizzy. A briefcase? A mech model? Are you kidding me? You spent 200,000 on this thing? Where are all your ideas and concepts? Did you feed them to the dogs? Professor Ma was so furious that he nearly spat out blood. The weather was gradually getting warmer, and he was extremely agitated, ready to smash the briefcase. His reason couldn't stop him, but a voice halted him. BT Iron Control, detecting an agitated entity attempting to destroy the unit. Should I intervene? I can manipulate the force field within a 10-meter radius, increasing the unit's weight to a level the entity cannot bear. Su Chen quickly replied, no, it's one of us. Professor Ma looked dumbfounded at the briefcase in his hands. What is going on? This briefcase can actually talk. At that moment, Suchin walked over and took the briefcase from him. All right, Professor, please be patient. I'll show you just how valuable that bill, those materials, and the equipment that was abused really are. After saying that, he placed the briefcase on the ground. Then, standing straight, he softly commanded, BT, activate mech mode. Identity verification successful, mech mode activated. Click, 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 click. As his words fell, under Professor Ma's puzzled gaze, the originally black briefcase transformed into various components. Flying towards Suchun, they began to automatically assemble on his body. A few seconds later, the black briefcase disappeared, turning into a mech that adorned Suchun. The mech, with its streamlined and technologically aesthetic design, stood tall. Sunlight shone on it, highlighting the beautiful lines and the quality sheen. Just like that, the mech appeared before Ma Jiqiang. This dreamlike scene vividly materialized in the real world. The confusion, anger, and helplessness in his eyes vanished without a trace. What replaced them was unprecedented shock. The sight made his scalp tingle and his whole body tremble with excitement. As it turned out, when a person is the most excited, they can't speak. Ma Jiqiang tried several times before finally managing to utter, I asked you to create a model, and you build a real mech? Chapter 9. The net strikes, land, sea, and air coordinate to surround the mech. On the rooftop of the integrated laboratory building, the tranquil atmosphere was shattered by a strong sense of shock. Ma Jiqiang rubbed his eyes, confirming he wasn't mistaken. A mech. A mech had appeared right in front of him. Perfect lines, a futuristic appearance, and that black technology-like transformation function. All of this told Ma Jiqiang that what Suchin created was not a mech model. He had made a genuine mech. A real mech. At first, it was just an impulsive decision to assign the students a project to create mecha models. Coincidentally, Suchun had some great ideas and creativity, so as a teacher, I supported him. I never expected that this kid would actually create a mecha, and this mecha is no ordinary one. It can transform from a suitcase into a wearable mecha. Just this technology alone could take them at least 10 years, or even longer, to research. Then I recalled the sound that came from the suitcase earlier. That mechanical synthesized voice actually communicated with Suchun. Wow. ISNT this artificial intelligence? I also remembered what the AI said about creating a force field with a 10-meter radius. Can a mecha really do that? What kind of monster has Suchin created? I had only been away for 2 months, and in such a short time, Suchin built a mecha monster. No, rather than a mecha monster. It's more accurate to say it's a highly advanced mecha. The more I thought about it, the more astonished I became. At this moment, I didn't even know what to say. My gaze was fixed on Suchun. While I remained silent, Suchin had plenty to say. Professor Ma, I'll work to cover the 200,000 and the costs of the materials. I was taken aback for a moment, then scoffed and said, get lost. Is that even a concern? Suchin shrugged helplessly. Wasn't it serious just now? Why is it not a big deal now? I still feel guilty. I knew this kid was deliberately showing off. He was just pretending. If he had said earlier that what he built wasn't just a model, but such a technologically advanced mecha, forget 200,000, even 2 billion, I would have fully supported it. As long as he could deliver results. Research funding would never be an issue. All right, you little rascal. Just confess honestly. Did you really make this thing? Suchin guessed I wouldn't believe him. So he casually handed me his notebook. I curiously took the notebook, while also intrigued by the mecha that Suchun could manipulate to perform various actions. What kind of magical alloy is this? Its flexibility and toughness are absolutely unique in this world. As someone with an engineering background and some knowledge of material science, I could guarantee that there is no such alloy in the world. Professor, weren't you curious if I made it? Suchin's words reminded me. I realized I had been distracted by the mecha. What do you want me to do with this notebook? I looked at the notebook, puzzled. However, Suchun didn't explain, just gestured for me to open it. As I turned to the first page, I was instantly stunned. Then I slowly flipped through the subsequent pages. My speed increased, but the shock in my eyes grew even stronger. My arm even trembled involuntarily. It was as if the notebook in my hand was some precious treasure. My legs couldn't help but shake, almost wanting to kneel down and worship. This notebook records the experimental log of the mech. It's filled with dense data and theories. If an ordinary person saw it, they would definitely scoff and think that Suchun is just making things up. Ma Jiqiang initially felt the same way. He couldn't understand it at all. This renowned professor from a prestigious defense university, a leading expert in engineering with knowledge as vast as the ocean, actually couldn't comprehend the contents. Just as Ma Jiqiang was guessing that Suchun might be trying to fool him, he slowly began to notice something unusual. As he flipped through the pages, some fundamental theories started to emerge. These theories are the foundation of all advanced concepts, and by following these basic theories downwards, he gradually began to understand some of the obscure ideas. At that moment, what he considered a book of heavenly texts began to reveal its true form. Astonishing advanced theories stirred a hint of excitement in this engineering expert, enough to make him feel invigorated. Incredible. What an astonishing theory. This is definitely not something humans could have conceived. Ma Jiqiang's voice began to tremble. Through this notebook, he seemed to catch a glimpse of the door to a future world, even though he still couldn't fully understand it. After a long while, he slowly closed the notebook. Looking at Suchun, his expression was no longer just one of shock. He started to suspect whether Suchun was an alien disguised as a human, delivering technology to their country. Just as he was about to ask something, a sudden buzzing sound filled the air. Before Ma Jiqiang could figure out what it was, Su Qin's voice rang out. Professor Ma, we are surrounded. Upon hearing this, Ma Jiqiang was instantly stunned. He then saw nearly 100 armed helicopters flying towards him. Not only in the sky, on the ground, hundreds of armed jeeps, carrying nearly 1,000 soldiers, surrounded the research lab. Behind the jeep units were armored and air defense forces. In the distance, dozens of fighter jets were approaching. They were completely surrounded. Seeing this, Ma Jiqiang instinctively shielded Su Chen behind him. It's okay, don't panic. I will protect you. However, the next moment, Su Chen tapped his shoulder and pointed to himself. Professor, do I need your protection? Ma Jiqiang was taken aback, then chuckled awkwardly. Just as he was about to say something, he suddenly thought, hey, wait a minute. Why should we panic? You invented such an incredible mech for the country. They should reward you. Su Chen scratched his head, feeling a bit awkward beneath the mech. There shouldn't be any issues, right? I had a little incident testing the mech with the authorities yesterday, but there was no violence. It should be fine. However, it must be said, although he didn't intentionally hide, the efficiency of the relevant authorities is indeed impressive. They found him so quickly. Truly, it's like an all-seeing network. It is well known that this network can track anyone down without fail. Due to the significant potential threat posed by the mysterious mech, Lu Qingji proactively requested assistance from the Skynet system to help investigate. Sure enough, the location of the mech was discovered. At the first moment of this discovery, the Navy and Army quickly coordinated and rushed over. Currently, the visible forces include the Army and Air Force. In areas not visible, several large destroyers in the Eastern Sea Defense Zone have locked onto this airspace. Even without knowing friend from foe, the artillery units have already targeted a certain nation. As soon as the situation here spirals out of control and the mech causes a large-scale incident, the artillery will unreasonably deliver one or several packages directly to that country. The logic here is that if the identity of the other party is unclear, it will be treated according to that country's standards. Professor Ma, is this the mech you developed? Zhao Konghua, who accompanied Lu Qingji, initially thought that the mech was captured by a certain country. However, they later discovered that after noticing them, Ma Jiqiang had actively protected the mech behind him. He then let him go, but this detail did not escape their notice. This mech is definitely deeply related to Ma Jiqiang. Could it be that he developed it? Therefore, confirming that the mech is safe and has not gone rogue, the two directly descended from the plane onto the rooftop, followed by the disheartened Wang Feng. Lu Qingji's heart skipped a beat upon hearing Zhao Konghwa's words. He didn't care who made the mech, but as long as it wasn't from that certain country, it would be a great thing. Wang Feng thought the same way. He had once felt powerless thinking that the mech was developed by that certain country. But at this moment, if the mech wasn't from that country, but rather from Professor Ma, then it had nothing to do with them. It was their own mech. That meant it was an ally. Not only did the feeling of powerlessness disappear, but it was replaced with a burst of motivation, even wanting to take a fighter jet for a spin over there. Indeed, the debuff vanished, and the mech instead provided a courage buff. At this moment, everyone's gaze turned to Ma Jiqiang, waiting for his response. Ma Jiqiang glanced at Su Chen, shook his head with a smile, and said, no, not at all. The crowd was momentarily stunned, as if their expectations had been dashed. But the next second, Ma Jiqiang patted Su Chen's shoulder and said, this is the work of my student. As he spoke, Su Chen felt a surge of emotion. Accompanied by a series of clicking sounds, the armor above him retracted, revealing Su Chen's true appearance. Everyone was taken aback, standing there in shock. So young? The creator of the mech is this young? Su Chen's gaze swept across the crowd and landed on Wang Feng. Revealing a smile, he slowly raised his hand and gave him a thumbs up. Wang Feng's eyes widened in disbelief and he shouted, it's him. Chapter 10. Your student actually created a mech? Su Chen gave a thumbs up to pilot Wang Feng. This action profoundly impacted Wang Feng. Others might not be very clear about it, but he is quite familiar with Su Chen's actions. His thoughts seemed to return to that night. The mech that landed above him and gave him a thumbs up. It's him. The mech that flew into the sky yesterday is indeed him. Wang Feng emphasizes once again. In fact, there is no need for him to emphasize it specifically. Everyone else has already guessed that Su Chen is the one behind yesterday's mech. Otherwise, it would mean there are multiple similar mechs. Ma Jiqiang does not understand why Wang Feng is so excited and looks at Lu Qingji with confusion. The latter smiles calmly. With a hint of complaint in his tone, the mech you guys created really gave our pilots a good lesson last night. Fortunately, this mech is from our country. Otherwise, our pilots would have felt immense pressure. I'm quite curious about what happened last night that could stimulate the pilots of a major nation like this. However, it is evident that Lu Qingji does not want to elaborate on this matter. He now only wants to know who exactly made this mech. Ma Jiqiang claims it was made by Su Chen, but he is just too young. This mech is filled with advanced technology, and it should be the product of multiple academic experts, taking decades or even centuries to create collaboratively. If that were the case, it would feel somewhat reasonable. But things are not as he imagined. This mech is not created by an academic expert, but by someone who appears to be in their 20s. Thinking back to his own 20s, when he was just an ordinary soldier worrying about the future. While this young person has already created an impressive mech that nearly breaks the spirit of skilled pilots from major nations. It's terrifying to think about. It's hard to believe it's true. Zhao Konghua shares the same thoughts. Even in the research field, as a researcher, Su Chen's impact on him is even more intense. because he knows well the hardships of research work and understands that no research can yield results overnight. Youth means a lack of deep experience and theory. He doubts. Professor Ma, please don't joke. I'm not underestimating your student. But I have already conducted a lot of analysis on this mech yesterday. The technology on this mech is the result of applying many disciplines to their limits. And just integrating these disciplines requires an incredibly terrifying learning ability, let alone applying them in reality, which is even more challenging. To put it bluntly, even the academicians in our country may not have this capability. Ma Jiqiang looks at Su Chun with some surprise. To receive such high praise from Zhao Konghua. How many abilities does this mech possess that he is unaware of? However, he also agrees with Zhao Konghua's words. Director Zhao, you are right. This mech indeed applies many disciplines. For example, this artificial intelligence technology. Even the teachers at our school may not be able to reach this level. As soon as these words came out, Zhao Konghua and Lu Qingji were both taken aback, and they turned to look at Wang Feng in unison. The latter also shrugged, showing a look of I don't know either. Zhao Konghua voiced their question. Does this mech also have artificial intelligence? Ma Jiqiang was taken aback. Don't you all know? As he spoke, he glanced at Su Chun and gave him a look. Su Chun calmly replied, BT. As soon as he finished speaking, the lights on the mech flickered, and a mechanical, synthesized voice, leaning towards a masculine tone, echoed, Iron Rider. BT is ready for action. Zhao Konghua suddenly realized. So this is what you meant by artificial intelligence. In his mind, this was similar to the little AI invented by a well-known figure in technology. He thought it was something extraordinary. Just as this thought formed, the mech emitted another voice. Iron Rider. I have detected abnormal energy fluctuations at a direction of 31 degrees southeast, 153 kilometers away. It seems to be a weapon with considerable destructive power. Do you want me to hack into a satellite named Starlink to assist in the investigation? Upon hearing this, everyone present widened their eyes in shock. Wang Feng's head turned slowly like a marionette, looking at Lu Qingji. Sir, could it be that the location he mentioned, over 150 kilometers to the southeast, is our courier service? Their artillery base was precisely located 150 kilometers away, in the southeast direction. Few knew about this location, but Wang Feng, as a pilot coordinating with the artillery, was well aware of it. Lu Qingji also instantly thought of that place. The artillery had indeed deployed their service there. At that moment, he felt a deep shock. This artificial intelligence was incredibly advanced, especially with what it said next. It could even hack into the satellite system of a certain country. Was that for real? Zhao Konghua's expression gradually turned strange at this moment. He realized that his understanding of this mech might still be too shallow. He wasn't foolish and naturally understood what Wang Feng's previous comment implied. Ma Jiqiang also recognized that this topic could not be discussed further. If they continued, the secrets of the nation would likely be exposed by this artificial intelligence called BT. He quickly shifted the topic. Didn't you all doubt that this was created by my student? Perhaps we could just ask this artificial intelligence. However, he felt that Su Chun should personally inquire. All eyes turned to Su Chun. He smiled calmly. What's so difficult about this? BT, they want to know who created you. I authorize you to share the relevant information with them. After Su Chun finished speaking, BT's voice responded. Okay, Iron Rider. My creator is Iron Rider, a senior student at the National Defense University of the Dragon Country. He is the one who created me and named me BT. According to human reasoning, he is the parent of BT. I detected that Iron Rider is male, but I cannot refer to him as father. I will address him as Iron Rider. For a more detailed explanation, secondary authorization is required. Su Chun replied, no need for that, BT. He then looked at Lu Qingji and the others. Sir, this explanation should be sufficient, right? The crowd exchanged glances, and at that moment, the shock in their hearts was beyond words. Even the mech acknowledged that it was created by Su Chun. It is known that robots do not lie. Of course, it could also be pre-programmed. But what is the significance of doing this? The true creator of the mech has designated it as being made by Su Chun. That honor would just be handed over. Who would be so foolish? This isn't a novel where you pull out a spokesperson and play some behind-the-scenes game. Moreover, Ma Jiqiang has already stated that Su Chun is the mech's creator. He has no need to fool anyone. Zhao Konghua and the others exchanged glances, their minds racing with a huge thought. Could it be that Su Chun is truly a genius? At that moment, a jolt of realization struck Zhao Konghua. He suddenly recalled that the mech had just mentioned that Su Chun is a fourth-year student in national defense. He exclaimed, Su Chun, are you still a university student? Before Su Chun could respond, Ma Jiqiang frowned. Didn't I emphasize that Su Chun is my student just now? Zhao Konghua replied. Students come in many forms, and besides, you're also supervising doctoral students. He looked Su Chun up and down again. Initially, he had thought Su Chun was a doctoral student under Zhao Konghua. Such a genius becoming a doctoral student at a young age wouldn't be surprising. But in the end, he was just a third-year student about to enter his fourth year. Is the value of a university student so high now? The key point is, do university courses even teach how to create mechs? They haven't mentioned it at all. Su Chun can't possibly be self-taught, right? That would be terrifying. With that thought, he suddenly spoke again. Su Chun, could you demonstrate again how you put on the mech? He was increasingly curious about the mech developed by this university student. Su Chun nodded and said, BT, retract mech form. Received. With that command, the mech slowly transformed, breaking down into small components that gathered together, arranged neatly, and finally turned into a suitcase. Wang Feng couldn't help but exclaim, Wow. Transformers. Such a powerful mech turned into a portable form. Not only is it convenient to carry, but it also facilitates wearing it. BT. Mech form. Su Chen's voice rang out again, and BT transformed back into the mech effortlessly and quickly, putting it on Su Chen. Seeing this, Zhao Kongbo couldn't help but applaud. It was truly surprising. He hadn't expected the process of donning the mech to be so simple. He looked at Su Chen, his eyes filled with curiosity and shock. If this scene hadn't happened in reality, he would have thought he had traveled into a movie. The seemingly simple act of putting it on contained technology that he felt he might never be able to research in his lifetime. This mech is simply full of high technology. Su Chen, you must have spent a long time on this. From design to planning, then to manufacturing and overcoming various difficulties. It must have taken a lot of effort. Zhao Kongbo said. Lu Qingji echoed, absolutely. Such a shocking mech that could spark a new revolution is definitely not something that can be easily created. Isn't that right, Su Chen? Everyone's gaze fell back on Su Chen. However, Su Chen seemed hesitant, unsure of how to respond. Seeing his student a bit embarrassed, Ma Jiqiang could only smile wryly. If I say it, you won't believe me anyway. Zhao Kongbo was taken aback. What is there not to believe? By the way, does it have anything to do with you, Professor Ma? Ma Jiqiang replied, of course it does. This is actually an assignment I gave 2 months ago to create a mech model. Zhao Kongbo's expression changed in shock. An assignment to create a mech model? So the mech Su Chen built was for that assignment? Then, he trembled all over, nearly petrified on the spot. Because he heard an even more astonishing piece of news. You just said it was an assignment from 2 months ago. So, are you saying this mech was built by Su Chen in just 2 months? Boom. As he spoke, it was as if thunder had struck in their minds. They were shocked to the core. A mech that powerful was built in just 2 months. Are you crazy? I'm going crazy. This is unbelievable. Wang Feng couldn't hold back either. The 5th-generation aircraft was a massive project that took countless people's efforts. Yet this mech, which easily surpassed the 5th-generation aircraft, was just a summer assignment for someone else. And this isn't just genius anymore. In front of Su Chen, even genius seems insufficient. It wouldn't be an exaggeration to call him a god. A product built in 2 months, yet it contains such stable and powerful technology. It took them a long time to accept this fact. Zhao Kongbo even felt a sudden impulse to let Su Chen take over as the head of his Aviation Research Institute. At this moment, Lu Qingji couldn't help but step forward to inquire about the theories behind the mech's development. Comrade Su Chen. He addressed Su Chen as comrade, showing him great recognition and respect. I'm really curious, what theories supported the mech you built in just 2 months? The application of technology requires theoretical foundations. Su Chen didn't hold back and briefly explained. Zhao Kongbo and the others all perked up their ears to listen. Even Wang Feng, who disliked attending classes, couldn't help but come closer. However, after Su Chen's brief explanation, they were utterly dumbfounded. Artificial intelligence systems, high-energy solid-state energy sources, new superalloys, flight stability systems under altered force fields. The theories behind these technologies left them speechless. They couldn't help but swallow hard. Is this really something a soon-to-be senior student could create? Chapter 11. Handcrafted new alloys. Is it technology or magic? Since it was made in the last 2 months, could we see the laboratory where this mech was created? Zhao Kongbo spoke again. As the head of the Aviation Research Institute and a creator of various aviation weapons, he had a strong curiosity about how this mech was made. Or rather, he still had some doubts. After all, it was hard to believe that a young person could create such an impressive mech. I am very curious about how Su Chen designed and manufactured this mech. Is that possible? Zhao Kongbo made the request. Everyone else turned their attention to Su Chen as well. Su Chen then looked at Ma Jiqiang. The latter was momentarily taken aback, then chuckled awkwardly. What's so difficult about that? Su Chen created this mech in the laboratory I oversee. Just go down this way, and the top-level lab will be right there. With that, he led them into the laboratory. As everyone stepped into the lab, they were immediately rendered speechless by the sight before them. They had imagined a place filled with cutting-edge technology and advanced equipment, considering this was a major defense laboratory. How bad could it possibly be? However, the current state of the laboratory looked as if it had been ransacked. There were scraps left by certain materials everywhere. The equipment also bore clear signs of heavy use. Contrary to the high-tech image they had envisioned, it gave off a vibe more akin to a mechanical workshop. This feeling was reminiscent of Ma Jiqiang's initial return to the lab. Major General Lu Qingji couldn't help but twitch his mouth at the sight. He looked at Ma Jiqiang with a sense of being deceived. Is this really the laboratory where you manufacture mechs? Shouldn't it look grand and impressive? The commander's reaction made Su Chen want to laugh. Ma Jiqiang shot him a glance. My little ancestor, how can you still laugh? This is all your work. He was about to explain to Lu Qingji when Director Zhao Kongbo interjected. Commander, I had the fortune of visiting this lab, overseen by Professor Ma, to test a military product. The layout hasn't changed much since then. However, the equipment appears somewhat worn due to extensive use. This is understandable, after all. It's a mech that Su Chen managed to create in just 2 months. With such a short time and heavy tasks, the efficiency must have been maximized, leaving little room for organization, which is why it looks a bit chaotic. After this explanation, Lu Qingji understood. He couldn't help but feel a bit sympathetic towards Su Chen. You've worked hard, Comrade Su Chen. It's clear that you've put in a lot of effort. He then added, By the way, when I came over earlier, I noticed that the warehouse was empty. This mech manufacturing must consume a lot of resources, right? Your school must have invested quite a bit. Suchin nodded. That's right, Commander. The school has indeed invested a lot. Oh, upon hearing Suchin say this, Lu Qingji was surprised. He felt that the investment would be a staggering number. However, he thought for a moment and realized that the school probably couldn't just provide research funding to a single student. Moreover, this was originally treated as a summer project. Just as he was pondering these questions, Suchin continued. That's because we needed to purchase some materials. I signed a bill for 200,000. At this statement, everyone present was left in shock. 200,000. The somewhat impulsive young man, Wang Feng, was the first to jump up. Wow, 200,000? Suchun, are you serious? Such an impressive mech, and only 200,000 in research funding? Our fifth-generation aircraft cost at least 30 billion from development to production. After the excitement, he suddenly changed his tone and grabbed Suchin's hand. Bro, I'll give you my savings of 200,000. Can you make one for me to try out? I really want to test it. Wang Feng, come here. Lu Qingji's voice rang out. Wang Feng then realized he had lost his composure. With an awkward smile, he retreated back behind Lu Qingji. Lu Qingji continued with the serious matter. Comrade Suchun, 200,000 in funding, don't joke around. For this mech, I wouldn't doubt if you said it cost tens of billions or even hundreds of billions. But 200,000. Lu Qingji didn't know what to say? Suchin shrugged. Chief, I'm just a student, and this 200,000 puts a lot of pressure on me. After all, I racked up a 200,000 bill for the lab. Before you all came, Professor Ma was waving the bill at me, saying that this amount is equivalent to several years of savings for an ordinary family, and I felt so ashamed. Hearing this, Zhao Konghua immediately felt distressed. With a hint of indignation, Old Ma, how can you treat Comrade Suchin like this? Can't your school even come up with a mere 200,000 in research funding? It would be better to let Suchin come to our research institute. I'll give him 10 billion in initial research funding. Ma Jiqiang glared at Suchun. You little rascal, trying to report me. Huh, I didn't know the situation. If I had known you had this capability, I wouldn't just offer 200,000. I'd figure out a way to get you 200 billion. However, he also knew that Suchun was just joking and didn't take it to heart. At this moment, Zhao Konghua walked over to a pile of equipment he recognized as being used for alloy production. Like other equipment, these showed more signs of use. Clearly, Suchin had been using these tools quite a bit. Noticing Zhao Konghua's gaze, Suchin quickly approached. As you can see, the alloy on the mech is made using these devices. Once he said this, everyone gathered around. Comrade Suchun, could you demonstrate how this new type of superalloy is made? I'd love to see it. Suchin glanced under the table and saw some materials. He immediately said it was no problem. After taking out the materials, he sorted and prepared them. Then he activated various instruments. Everyone surrounded the experiment table, watching Suchin's every move with rapt attention. Suchin skillfully operated the instruments, placing different materials into containers according to specific ratios. Soon, these materials began to undergo a series of chemical reactions. The onlookers were utterly mesmerized. These chemical reactions were not just simple bubbling. They even produced intense flames, which displayed a dazzling array of colors, and Suchun even dared to reach out and touch them. The reactions were intense but harmless, leaving everyone in awe. There is another astonishing phenomenon. A certain metal, which serves as raw material, surprisingly appears to come to life after reacting with other materials, writhing and crawling inside the container. Everyone can't help but twitch at the corners of their mouths. One might wonder, is this science or magic? With a series of complex chemical reactions, a new type of alloy gradually takes shape. The entire process flows smoothly, prompting admiration for Suchin's exceptional skills. After cooling, the new alloy was placed on the table for everyone to appreciate. This alloy shimmers with a unique luster, giving off a sense of strength and mystery. Zhao Konghua is extremely excited. He immediately collaborates with Professor Ma to test this new alloy. Fortunately, the laboratory is equipped with various testing instruments. As the tests proceed, a look of surprise appears on Zhao Konghua's face. The data for the new alloy far exceeds his expectations. Its strength, toughness, corrosion resistance, and other performance indicators have reached astonishing levels. Zhao Konghua looks at Suchun, incredulously asking, Suchun, I noticed that the materials you used to create this alloy are not particularly rare. So, does this mean that the overall cost of this alloy isn't high? Suchin explains, it's not just not high, it's actually quite low. Why do I say this? Because these materials are readily available for purchase. What could be expensive about that? For any slightly rare materials, as a student, I wouldn't be able to access them at all. However, we shouldn't underestimate the new alloy just because of the materials. In fact, the making of the alloy relies more on the combination of various materials and the appropriate proportions. This is the profound aspect of the new alloy. Its complexity is such that even if Ma Jiqiang and Zhao Konghua were to look at it dozens or hundreds of times, they might not be able to replicate it. Although it seems easy for Suchun to produce, it involves hundreds of procedures, each requiring careful consideration of material combinations and ratios. If just one procedure goes wrong, it could lead to significant deviations. The new alloy is the foundation of the mecha. Hearing Suchun's words, everyone feels invigorated. The extremely low cost signifies the possibility of large-scale production. Otherwise, no matter how impressive it is, if producing one requires the effort of an entire nation, It might as well not be made. No matter how advanced something is, one must consider whether they can afford it. Su Chun, although I don't know much about these things, I really want to know, isn't the powerful energy source for this mecha that solid-state energy? Can you show us how to manufacture it? That energy source should be quite expensive, right? This question was raised by Wang Feng, especially regarding the final price, which tugged at many people's hearts. They all know that the strength of this mecha is inseparable from the high-energy solid-state energy it carries. If it could be applied to other fields, it would be a game-changer. However, at this moment, Su Chun shrugged his shoulders. As for the materials, they are no longer available. I can't demonstrate. However, in terms of cost, it's not expensive at all. A high-energy solid-state energy source only costs about 1,000. The energy produced could allow a certain advanced fighter jet to fly 400,000 kilometers. As soon as this was said, the entire audience was stunned. $1,000. Allowing a fighter jet to fly 400,000 kilometers. Chapter 12. Extremely low cost. The vision of future mecha legions. Among those present, only Professor Ma Jiqiang might not fully understand what it means for a fifth-generation fighter to fly 400,000 kilometers for just $1,000. A full tank of fuel for a fifth-generation fighter is roughly 10 tons. The price of aerospace fuel is about 5,000 to 6,000 yuan per ton. So, 10 tons would cost around 60,000 yuan. And 10 tons of aerospace fuel can keep the fighter flying for 4,000 kilometers. To fly 400,000 kilometers would require 5 to 6 million yuan worth of aerospace fuel. Yet, the energy produced only equates to a high-energy solid-state energy source that can be manufactured for just 1,000 yuan. What is even more astonishing is that when Su Chun explained this high-energy solid-state energy source, he mentioned that it could absorb solar energy to replenish itself. The energy conversion efficiency is extremely high, several times faster than charging a battery of an electric vehicle. However, the energy contained is terrifying. Moreover, electric vehicle batteries cost at least tens of thousands, or even over 100,000 per unit. And this one is only 1,000. Experts in the aviation field, high-ranking officials, and even pilot Wang Feng were all staring blankly at Su Chun. Their eyes were filled with an indescribable shock. After a long while, Zhao Kongwa came back to his senses and asked a question he was eager to know. Su Chun, considering the material losses in the warehouse, how much do you think it would cost to manufacture this mecha? This question is very important. Although Su Chun mentioned that the manufacturing cost of these mecha technologies is not high, who can guarantee that the application costs of all these technologies are also low? This is undoubtedly a concern for Lu Qingji as well. It relates to whether a mecha combat team or a mecha squad will be sent to engage in combat. Of course, given the nature of the country, they would ensure not to prioritize the use of mechas unless provoked excessively. Su Chun thought for a moment. The materials in the warehouse are not particularly critical, and along with the additional materials he purchased, it should not exceed 300,000. However, let us not forget, there are some materials that simply do not exist in this world. They can't be bought even if one wanted to. This is the unknown. Just as he was pondering how to answer this question, the system's voice suddenly rang out. Detected that the host has successfully completed the first black technology manufacturing project. The host's abilities have passed the test, and all technologies will now be transmitted to the host. Su Chun was a bit surprised. He didn't expect the system to retain some information. The retained part included those materials that do not exist in this world. It turns out that these materials can be synthesized using some materials available in this world. Not only that, but the manufacturing technologies for the equipment provided by the system were also transmitted into his brain. Now all materials can be synthesized by themselves, and all equipment can be manufactured. He has completely mastered the manufacturing process of mechs. The system holds nothing back. The synthesis of key materials and the production of necessary equipment take longer time. At the same time, there are high demands on the host's hands-on ability and resource allocation skills. At that time, the host did not possess these skills, so the system lowered the manufacturing difficulty. Su Chun's mouth twitched. So he was underestimated. Underestimating is good. Otherwise, it really wouldn't have been done in 2 months. No need to be too specific. Just a rough range will do. Seeing Su Chun hesitating to respond, Zhao Kongwa spoke again. His words brought Su Chun back to reality. He immediately reacted and recalculated. Approximately around 500,000. Su Chun said, adding up all the materials, the cost of one mech is about 500,000. As soon as this was said, Lu Qingji trembled with excitement. So cheap? You must be joking. This is a huge gap compared to our advanced fighter jets. A mech can be built for 500,000. What is there to fear? We must arrange for a mech combat division. No, a mech combat corps. At this moment, he excitedly grabbed Su Chun's hand. Comrade Su Chun, you must sell this amazing mech technology to our Air Force. Our Air Force needs it so much. Lu Qingji was almost in tears from excitement. Although the fifth-generation fighters are impressive, all major powers basically have their own fifth-generation fighters. So the Air Force's strength is comparable. But now, with the emergence of mechs, Lu Jiqiang has seized a new hope for the development of the Air Force. A hope to overpower the Air Force of other countries. However, at this moment, Ma Jiqiang suddenly interjected, why should your Air Force acquire it? Isn't the army in greater need? Lu Qingji stared blankly at him. But this mech can fly? If it can fly, where else would it go besides our Air Force? Ma Jiqiang shivered suddenly, looking at Su Chun in shock. This mech can fly? Zhao Kongbo smirked and teased. You said Su Chun is your student, and you didn't even know this mech can fly? Wang Feng also scratched his head and chimed in. It can fly, and it can reach nearly 3 Mach speeds. Our 5th-generation fighters are left behind. Wang Feng's expression was complicated, seemingly recalling the fear of being dominated by the mech created by Su Chun last night. Ma Jiqiang also reacted at this moment. He remembered the experimental data that was similar to flight written in the experiment log. At that time, he couldn't understand most of it, so he didn't pay much attention to those data. He thought it was something else. Looking back now, it seemed to be real flight data. He held his forehead, obviously overwhelmed by the shock this mech brought him. You all continue. Let me calm down for a moment. Lu Qingji then looked at Su Chun, continuing the previous topic. They wanted to acquire this mech technology. Su Chun casually agreed. Sure, since the country needs it, let's provide it to the country. Not only that, Su Chun also said, if needed, I can offer the production line structure for the mech. Upon hearing this, everyone present was completely stunned. Su Chun can provide the production line structure? It means that mass production is just around the corner. One could say that it could directly lead to mass production. Mass-producing mechs feels like a dream. Is it true, Comrade Su Chun? Lu Qingji tightened his grip on Su Chun's hand once again, his eyes sparkling with excitement. This normally serious leader looked like a child who had just seen their favorite toy, forgetting all about his own image. Su Chun nodded, then hesitated for a moment before adding. However, this production line is quite expensive. After all, it involves the manufacturing of equipment provided by the system. Those devices are the key to transforming ordinary materials into formidable mechs step by step. Lu Qingji seemed to have been mentally prepared. He knew that this production line would certainly not be cheap. It might even equal the total GDP of several provinces in the country for a year. It could reach trillions. But even if it costs trillions, this production line must be built. Comrade Su Chun, just say the amount. No matter how much it is. I will strive with the higher-ups to construct the production line. Su Chun nodded and said immediately, it might require 6 to 700 million, or 7 to 800 million. However, the country need not worry, it will definitely not exceed 1 billion. Upon hearing this, everyone dropped their jaws in shock. Especially Lu Qingji. 6 to 700 million? 7 to 800 million? And guaranteed not to exceed 1 billion? Even if it exceeds 1 billion, so what? Comrade Su Chun, you are really being too conservative. A mere few hundred million is nothing compared to the trillions in his mind. It's worth noting that the cost of a fighter jet can reach 7 to 800 million. Yet this would create a complete mech production line. Lu Qingji was beginning to doubt if he had misheard. Su Chun was surprised. Isn't 1 billion a lot? A mech only costs 500,000. But the production line costs 1 billion. At this moment, Su Chun also mentioned a condition. This condition is related to future research. Lu Qingji looked at Su Chun seriously. Comrade Su Chun, please say it. No matter what the condition is, as long as it is legal, I will agree to it. If I can't do it, I will apply to the country for assistance on your behalf. Su Chun, it shouldn't be too difficult. I want to see more information related to technology. Technology information? The others exchanged glances, seemingly puzzled. Seeing their confusion, Su Chun realized he hadn't explained clearly and added, especially the technology information from that certain country. I want to know how advanced their research capabilities are now. Preferably similar to the previous mech blueprints. He looked at Ma Jiqiang. Ma Jiqiang understood Su Chun's intention. You want to see the conceptual blueprints proposed by that certain country? Chapter 13. Just look at the photos and you'll build a mech? Ma Jiqiang was the first to understand Su Chun's meaning. His words also piqued the curiosity of Zhao Kongbo and the others. The information that Su Chun valued so much, and which involved a powerful empire, must be of significant importance. Professor Ma, what exactly is the conceptual drawing proposed by that country? How come I didn't know that such important blueprints had reached us? Zhao Kongbo's voice rang out. As a research scholar, even at an advanced age, he kept up with technological trends. If any advanced technology from that country entered Longhua, he, as the head of the Longhua Aerospace Institute, would certainly be among the first to know. But in his memory, there was no such noteworthy technology that had come in. Not just him, even Lu Qingji, a general of the Longhua Air Force, looked equally puzzled, completely unaware of this. Seeing their seriousness, Ma Jiqiang suddenly chuckled. You guys are overthinking. It's not any important information. Saying that, he opened his phone's photo library, flipped through a few pictures, found one, and gestured for everyone to look at his phone. The crowd tilted their heads to look at the phone, then back at Ma Jiqiang, wearing expressions that suggested they wanted to laugh, but didn't dare to. Professor Ma's summer life seems quite rich. Where was this taken? Despite his age, he hasn't gained any weight at all. After so many years, he still has muscles. Zhao Kongbo couldn't help but tease. Ma Jiqiang was momentarily taken aback, then quickly flipped his phone around. On the screen was a picture of him wearing shorts on a beach. Not this one, not this one. I must have accidentally clicked that while showing you. Forget it, this was forced by my wife. She said we've come all this way, and not taking a few pictures would be a waste. Su Chun suddenly grinned. That's not right, Professor. This is clearly a selfie. Oh, I get it. It must have been your wife pulling your hand, forcing you to take a selfie. Ma Jiqiang's face turned red. You little rascal, you're making fun of me again. Alright, look at this one, look at this one. He picked out the right photo and handed his phone over. Only then did everyone realize what Ma Jiqiang was actually referring to. Lu Qingji instinctively spoke up. Isn't this the mecha concept drawing that came from that country? I thought it was some cutting-edge technical blueprint. Turns out it's just this. Zhao Konghua felt otherwise. This conceptual drawing is so vague. It can only be said to be a prop for that country to intimidate others. It hardly qualifies as information. It has no reference value at all. I believe this is definitely not what Su Chen is looking for. Saying this, he looked at Su Chen. Little Su, my analysis isn't wrong, right? As fellow researchers, we think alike to some extent. Zhao Konghua thought he understood Su Chen well. Lu Qingji also realized at this moment. He felt Zhao Konghua had a valid point. What use is this blurry drawing? It has no research value at all. But just then, Su Chen felt a bit embarrassed. Actually, the information I mentioned is this. As soon as these words were spoken, everyone was left dumbfounded. Especially Zhao Konghua, who had just been analyzing things so confidently. He felt a burning embarrassment on his face. He thought his analysis was quite good. After all, Su Chen is a research genius who has developed true mechas. What would a genius of this level want with such vague blueprints? It doesn't make sense. At this moment, Ma Jiqiang also spoke up. Su Chen just said that he wanted to see the previous mecha blueprints related to a certain country. Currently, there are only a few existing mecha blueprints associated with that country. Moreover, I had already presented this blueprint in class. The summer assignment was based on this blueprint. It must be this one, without a doubt. However, as fellow researchers, he and Zhao Konghua thought alike. Xiao Su, you mentioned that you want concepts similar to mechas from that country, but these things aren't very useful, are they? They have no reference value and no exploitable technology. They might just be something a second-rate comic artist sketched casually. What do you want them for? Ma Jiqiang asked. He voiced the doubts of everyone present. All their gazes turned to Su Chen, waiting for his response. At that moment, Wang Feng, who had been mostly silent, suddenly grinned. You can't be saying that Comrade Su Chen was inspired by this blueprint to create the mecha, right? As soon as he said this, everyone looked at him. Wang Feng felt a bit intimidated by their stares. We're waiting for Comrade Su Chen's reply. Please don't interrupt. Lu Qingji said. Wang Feng chuckled. I was just joking. Don't mind me, don't mind me. Actually, this pilot is not wrong. Su Chen finally spoke up. I created this mecha largely inspired by the conceptual blueprints from that country. And although this blueprint is a bit vague, it provided me with important inspiration in many technical aspects. To put it bluntly, I built the mecha based on this blurry photo. Upon hearing this, everyone present was stunned, especially Wang Feng. No way, bro. I was just joking. You're serious? You built a mecha just by looking at a photo? Let alone that it's just an ordinary photo. And even more so, that this photo is quite blurry. Are you even human? You can't be the god who oversees mecha manufacturing. Not only him, but everyone else present also found Su Chen's answer hard to believe. But who could argue with a genius? Geniuses cannot be judged by common sense. At this moment, Zhao Konghua finally understood why, despite being a fellow researcher, he had misjudged Su Chen's thoughts. Although both were researchers, they were of different ranks. While he was a distinguished figure, Su Chen was an existence beyond genius. The two were simply not on the same level. Realizing this, Zhao Konghua did not feel defeated. Instead, he felt a sense of excitement, thinking that there would finally be someone to carry on, and the rejuvenation of the nation was just around the corner. At this moment, Lu Qingji also understood what information Su Chen needed. Don't worry, Comrade Su Chen, I know what you need now. In recent years, there have been various conceptual technologies proposed from that region, making countries feel uneasy. We have also collected this information. I will send someone to deliver these materials to you soon. Su Chen nodded. In that case, I appreciate your help. By the way, about the technical blueprints for manufacturing mechas. Su Chen walked to an empty cabinet in the laboratory. The others did not follow him. In the next moment, the originally empty cabinet was quickly filled with blueprints. These blueprints were related technical drawings for mecha manufacturing, all extracted from the system space and summarized by the system. Soon, these blueprints appeared before everyone. Looking at the entire cabinet filled with blueprints, Su Chen was still worried about how Lu Qingji would take them away. However, this was not a problem for him. He quickly called over several soldiers to lift the cabinet to the top floor. Then he called for a helicopter to airlift the entire cabinet back to the command center. With this matter resolved, Lu Qingji had to return to report to the higher-ups and deliver the materials to the highest security location for further processing. However, before leaving, he shared his thoughts with Su Chen. Comrade Su Chen, they say heroes emerge from youth, and today I learned that from you. I have an idea that I hope you will consider. Su Chen calmly replied. Sir, please go ahead. Lu Qingji smiled lightly. Our Air Force really needs talents like you. I plan to apply for you to be honored as an Air Force consultant. This position will not restrict your freedom. You just need to help solve some problems occasionally. Moreover, the compensation is generous. The annual salary is at least this amount. Lu Qingji raised 5 fingers. Su Chen was momentarily stunned. 50,000? 500,000? Lu Qingji laughed. At least 5 million. Chapter 14. The youngest deputy minister in the history of the Dragon Country? Not having to work, but only occasionally helping to solve some problems for 1 million annual salary. This treatment is quite appealing. Only a fool would turn it down. Without thinking, Su Chen replied, I really do need the money. Lu Qingji was somewhat surprised. Logically, someone with Su Chen's abilities shouldn't be lacking in funds. As he contemplated, he felt a bit moved. The value of mechas is priceless. Su Chen could easily sell them to foreign countries for a huge reward. Yet, he chose to benefit his own country decisively. This patriotic fervor touched him deeply. Su Chen became great in his eyes. Don't worry. I will definitely help you with the application. Lu Qingji assured him seriously, then bid farewell to everyone. Wang Feng followed him out, turning to Lu Qingji as he left. Sir, once the mechas are built, won't there be a need to select pilots? What do you think of me? Hey, Chief, don't leave so quickly. Watching them leave, Ma Jiqiang turned to Zhao Kongbua and asked, Director Zhao, aren't you going to take the flight back with us? What are you waiting for? Zhao Kongbua glanced at Su Chun, his eyes shimmering with a strange light. For some reason, looking into those eyes, Ma Jiqiang felt an inexplicable sense of crisis. In the next moment, Zhao Kongbua spoke up. He looked at Su Chun and smiled lightly. I'm not in a hurry. I can take a taxi back later. I still have important things to discuss with Xiao Su. As he said this, he mimicked Lu Chengji's earlier manner, grasping Su Chen's hand earnestly and saying, Xiao Su, let me reintroduce myself. I am Zhao Kongbua, the director of our Aviation Research Institute. You can call me Uncle Zhao. Zhao Kongbua actively sought to build a closer relationship with Su Chun, which left Ma Jiqiang feeling quite incredulous. He had met Zhao Kongbua many times. Although they were not close friends, they were familiar with each other. This was the first time he had seen Zhao Kongbua so proactively trying to get close to someone. As the director of the Aviation Research Institute, it was usually others who tried to get close to him, and he typically looked down on such flattery. But now, the roles had reversed. Ma Jiqiang's sense of crisis intensified. He felt that Zhao Kongbua would not stay for such trivial matters. There must be ulterior motives. Sure enough, as soon as this thought crossed his mind, Zhao Kongbua suddenly said, Xiao Su, you are still young and very capable. Just like a fledgling eagle that needs a vast platform to soar, our Aviation Research Institute is the perfect place for you to spread your wings. In fact, we are looking for a deputy director. Would you consider it? Upon hearing this, Su Chen's expression froze, revealing a look of astonishment. Ma Jiqiang was even more shocked, nearly jumping up. When Zhao Kongbua mentioned a platform, Ma Jiqiang had already guessed he was trying to recruit someone, wanting Su Chen to join their team. But he never expected the offer to be so generous, starting off as the deputy director of the Aviation Research Institute. Although it was just a deputy position, this was the Aviation Research Institute, the most prestigious research institute in the entire military aviation field. The director holds a ministerial level position, and the deputy director is only slightly below that. But let's not forget, Su Chun is only a little over 20. Achieving a ministerial level position at such a young age would shock anyone. Not just him. Anyone who hears this news would be taken aback. Once the news gets out, the whole country will be astonished. At this moment, Ma Jiqiang couldn't help but feel a mix of emotions. On one hand, he was happy for Su Chen's bright future. On the other hand, he realized that their school was about to lose a talented student, feeling a tinge of regret for not being able to keep Su Chun. Such a good opportunity. Anyone who is somewhat reasonable would choose to go to the research institute, right? Zhao Kongbua thinks so too. Thank you for your recognition, Director Zhao. I'm very pleased to have your approval. Su Chen smiled calmly. Upon hearing this, Zhao Kongbua smiled back. Your abilities are exceptional. My recognition is nothing compared to your talents. I hope you can gain the recognition of the people in the future, as their acknowledgement is the most important. Let us work hard together at the Research Institute. Zhao Kongbua said excitedly. However, as soon as he finished speaking, Su Chen quickly interjected. You misunderstood, Director Zhao? I appreciate your recognition, but I never said I wanted to go to the Research Institute. What? Upon hearing this, both Zhao Kongbua and Ma Jiqiang were stunned. Ma Jiqiang exclaimed, Su Chun, Director Zhao has offered you the position of Vice President at the Research Institute. Do you know how great of an opportunity this is? Although Ma Jiqiang was happy inside, he didn't want his student to pass up such an incredible chance. Zhao Kongbua added, Yes, Xiao Su. Moreover, you can see that I'm getting older, and my health is declining day by day. Who knows, in 2 or 3 years, I might not be around. By then, the position of director could very well be yours. He had this confidence in Su Chun. Yet, Su Chun seemed to have made up his mind. Let us forget about it, Director Zhao. I plan to study at school for a while longer. I think I'll wait until after graduation to decide. Zhao Kongbua couldn't believe it. He thought he misheard. You still want to study? You still need to continue learning? A genius who can already create mechas. What more do you need to learn here? You could even give lectures and have your teachers listen. Not to mention teachers. Even I, as the director, wouldn't be worthy to stand on the podium to teach you. Su Chen continued. My university life is quite a valuable experience for me. I intend to see it through to the end. Besides, I think the National Defense University isn't bad. I could create mechas in 2 months. And even if I went to the Research Institute, the speed would be about the same. Zhao Kongbua wanted to say something, but hesitated. If someone else said this, he would absolutely disagree. Different environments definitely influence a person. But the one saying this was Su Chun. This genius had already reached a level where he could ignore his environment. He could create mechas in the school lab. There was no need to go elsewhere. Seeing that he couldn't persuade Su Chun, Zhao Kongbua decided to go along with what Su Chen suggested. Then I will wait a bit longer. Rest assured, Su Chun. As long as you're willing, I will keep the vice president position for you. Even if the organization isn't willing, I will go against the tide to reserve it for you for a year. This was Zhao Kongbua's decision. This old director, who despised privilege, decided to use it for Su Chun. He then said a few more words before leaving. After he left, Su Chun turned to Ma Jiqiang. Professor, I'm afraid I'll need to borrow this lab for a couple more days. His words brought Ma Jiqiang, still in a daze, back to reality. He quickly nodded. Sure, use it as you like. No need to be polite with me. From now on, you can use this laboratory however you like. And about the research funding, feel free to mention it. As long as we can get approval from above, you can have as much as you need. At this point, he smiled earnestly and said, Xiaosu, I know you're reluctant to part with your mentor after all these years. However, the Research Institute is truly a great place. But now that you've chosen to stay, both I and our school will definitely take good care of you. Ma Jiqiang was incredibly happy. The fact that this precious student had not left him showed their strong bond. Su Chun's lips twitched slightly. Professor, you know you're just as self-absorbed as your selfies, right? Ma Jiqiang was taken aback. What is wrong with my selfies? Su Chun replied, just as narcissistic as your selfies. After saying that, he quickly ran to a piece of equipment. That little rascal. He*s getting bolder, daring to make fun of his mentor. Ma Jiqiang chuckled and scolded lightly, wanting to chase after Su Chun and give him a light kick, but he was afraid of breaking something, so he had to give up. At that moment, he noticed that Su Chun had already entered a research state, standing in front of an instrument and getting to work. At the same time, one instrument alone was not enough for his research. He needed to run back and forth between various instruments. Some instruments were poorly positioned, which increased the time cost of research. Some machines were overused, and others showed signs of being worn out. Most importantly, Su Chun needed many instruments for his research. And if someone else used them at that time, it could significantly affect his research efficiency. He didn't dare to disturb him, but this laboratory was open to others. If he didn't disturb, what if someone else did? With this thought, Ma Jiqiang seemed to have made a decision. It looked like it was necessary to apply for a new laboratory for Xiaosu. Chapter 15. Crazy? Is this my school student? At the entrance of the principal's office, Ma Jiqiang glanced at his watch. Unknowingly, he had been standing there for nearly half an hour. At that moment, a somewhat heavy footstep sounded from behind him. He turned around and saw a group of people, his gaze focusing on the elderly man at the front. Although he was nearly 60, he appeared energetic. Dressed in a neat military uniform, adorned with golden leaves and 2 gold stars on his shoulders, he looked quite robust. This person was none other than Chun Ming, the president of the National Defense University. He held the rank of Major General. He had been on a business trip, but returned upon hearing that the school was facing a serious issue that could potentially escalate into a crisis, requiring his presence to manage the situation. He took the earliest flight back to the school. However, right after the plane landed, he was informed that the crisis had been resolved. Major General Liu Qingji from the Air Force Command Center would report related matters to him. Since returning from the trip was too troublesome, and the main meetings he was attending had basically concluded, they headed straight back to the school, just in time for Professor Ma to seek him for something. As he opened the office door, the group entered inside. Old Ma, you were in such a hurry to find me. Is there something important? Is it related to the crisis event that happened at school this morning? I heard that this matter seems to involve you as well. Could you tell me more about it? Professor Ma thought for a moment and then said, Principal, hasn't anyone informed you about this? Chun Ming was also puzzled. The higher-ups said that Liu Qingji would provide me with the details. But I have no idea what that guy is doing, and I can't get in touch with him. Ma Jiqiang nodded. It's normal for him to be busy. Anyway, I was involved in this matter, so it's fine for me to tell you. Chun Ming nodded, then stood up to pour himself a cup of tea. Just after taking a sip, he heard Ma Jiqiang continue. The incident started when one of my students developed a mecha, and during testing, it happened to encounter our 5th-generation fighter. Coincidentally, its performance completely outclassed our 5th-generation fighter. Since it was unclear whether it was friend or foe, the higher-ups were very alarmed. They located my student through the Skynet system and sent troops to surround us. I heard they were even preparing to deploy a certain rapid delivery service to stabilize the chaotic situation. Chun Ming, who was drinking water, spat it out upon hearing Ma Jiqiang's words. He stared wide-eyed at Ma Jiqiang in disbelief. Old Ma, are you making up a story? Your student developed a mecha? Why not say he built an aircraft carrier, and it outclassed our 5th-generation fighter? Do you know how terrifying 5th-generation fighters are? Put away your sci-fi stories and be serious. Ma Jiqiang shrugged, knowing that the principal wouldn't easily believe him. So he prepared to discuss the main issue. Principal, let's talk about that later. First, take a look at my application. The principal took Ma Jiqiang's application and, judging by his demeanor, the so-called crisis at the school shouldn't be too serious. Ma Jiqiang wasn't someone who couldn't distinguish between light and heavy matters. If the situation were severe, he would have mentioned the school's issue first. With this in mind, Chun Ming felt a bit relieved and seriously read through all his applications. What does this mean? Are you planning to apply for an entire building as a laboratory? After reading the application documents, Chun Ming was somewhat surprised. The 5th floor of the comprehensive experimental building, such a large space, and you're still not satisfied? You want to apply for a laboratory, and directly for an entire building? What's going on? Is the comprehensive laboratory not enough for you to make your mark? He placed the application form on the table, his gaze fixed tightly on Ma Jiqiang. Old Ma, although our National Defense University has abundant resources, reallocating an entire building is no easy task. You know that as well. However, I know you're not a capricious person. You must have your reasons. So, what are your plans for applying for an entire experimental building? Ma Jiqiang also knew that his request was somewhat excessive, but even though the principal hadn't agreed, he also hadn't refused. He then spoke up. Actually, this experimental building is not for me. It's for one of my students. A doctoral student? Chun Ming asked without thinking. Suddenly intrigued. Which doctoral student is so outstanding that you would apply for an entire building as a laboratory for him? Ma Jiqiang felt a bit embarrassed, as he found some words hard to express. But for Su Chun, he had to say, not a doctoral student. It's one of the undergraduates I supervise. Undergraduate? Chen Ming was taken aback, then stood up abruptly. Are you crazy, Lao Ma? You want me to approve a building as a laboratory for an undergraduate? Are you kidding me? Is this undergraduate your own son? Ma Jiqiang. Not my own son, but definitely a treasure. Chen Ming frowned. How much of a treasure? Ma Jiqiang shrugged. It's the mecha he developed. Upon hearing this, Chen Ming was nearly petrified on the spot. He was extremely angry. Ma Jiqiang, are you still joking with me? This is getting more ridiculous. An undergraduate built a mecha that surpasses 5th-generation fighters? Do you even believe that yourself? If you keep talking nonsense, just get out. Ma Jiqiang felt a headache coming on. It seemed he could only let Su Chen come in wearing the mecha. Just as this thought crossed his mind, the phone in the principal's office suddenly rang. Chen Ming was still fuming as he picked up the phone, his tone somewhat unfriendly. Hello? This is Chen Ming. Lu Qingji, you made me wait a long time. I couldn't reach you. Looks like you've been busy lately. What? Busy with mechas? What mechas? Are you and Ma Jiqiang trying to trick me? How could I possibly know anything about mechas? I was told to contact you for inquiries. What did you say? Professor Ma's student, Comrade Su Chen has developed a very impressive mecha for the country. The Su Chen you mentioned is an undergraduate? About to enter senior year? The anger on Chen Ming's face gradually faded, replaced by an indescribable shock. And this shock intensified as Lu Qingji recounted the events of the past few days, with his expression growing more and more intense. After a long while, he finally hung up the phone. He sat down heavily in his chair, his gaze incredibly complex. He had a rough idea of everything. During the summer vacation, an undergraduate named Su Chen utilized 2 months of break time to create a super mecha in their comprehensive laboratory, which not only outperformed 5th-generation fighters but also had stealth capabilities, was made from a new type of super alloy, possessed artificial intelligence, had high-energy solid-state power sources, could fly, and reached speeds exceeding 3 Mach, and more. Professor Ma found a seat and quietly waited. After a long time, Principal Chen snapped back to reality from his shock. Have you digested it all? Dear Principal, now you should believe it, right? If you still don't believe it, I can only let Su Chen come over in the mecha to communicate with you. By the way, the director of the Aviation Research Institute, Zhao Konghua, intends to poach Su Chen for the position of deputy director. You understand what I mean, right? Upon hearing this, Chen Ming completely recovered from his shock. He slammed the table. What the heck? Zhao Konghua actually set his sights on our treasure. How outrageous, taking advantage of my absence to steal from us. What he can offer, we might not be able to, and what we can offer, he might not be able to afford. He picked up the application form again and said, isn't it just a building? Classmate Su Chen is so outstanding that he deserves a building as his laboratory. I think we should give him the Revival Building. The mention of the Revival Building made Ma Jiqiang suddenly startled. This was the largest building invested and constructed by the entire college. Not to mention building mechs inside. You could even construct large components for battleships and aircraft carriers. Is the principal really willing to do this? Not only that, Chen Ming continued, let us not have Su Chen live in the dormitory anymore. The dormitory is not safe. I'll arrange a small courtyard for him to live in, with dedicated personnel for protection. Chapter 16. Is this creating a deity? At a certain military stronghold in Longhua, in the solemn and dignified military conference hall, the highest commander of the North China War Zone, Zhou Jingting, sat in the main seat, flanked by several high-ranking officials, each adorned with multiple golden stars. These were the top military leaders of the North China War Zone. Next to them, Lu Qingji, as a major general, felt somewhat overshadowed. After a period of discussion, Zhou Jingting summarized, since no one has any objections, I hereby announce the formal appointment of Comrade Su Chen as the honorary technical advisor of our Air Force. He will receive the benefits of an honorary advisor. With Zhou Jingting's decisive statement, it no longer mattered whether anyone opposed. An honorary advisor in his 20s, with an annual salary of 5 million. In the eyes of these high-ranking military officials, this was quite significant. The main point was that Su Chen was very young and had achieved such accomplishments at a young age. It was not an exaggeration to say that the future was bright for him. Applause erupted, directed towards Su Chen, who was not present. Although he was absent, it did not prevent everyone from offering their encouragement. This meeting was specifically convened to discuss whether he should receive this Air Force treatment. The meeting lasted less than 5 minutes from start to finish, and everyone voted unanimously in favor. After all, he had created a mech. Although no one had seen it in person, a mech represented technological strength. Any hesitation for even a second would be seen as a disregard for technological power. Just as Zhou Jingting was about to conclude the meeting, Lu Qingji suddenly stood up again. Zhou Jingting smiled calmly. What is up, Lao Lu? Do you want to summarize this meeting? Sure. It's all yours. All the senior officials smiled in unison. However, Lu Qingji clearly did not have that in mind. Commander, you misunderstood. I had a sudden idea, and with all the leaders present, I wanted to share my new thoughts. Oh, Zhou Jingting was somewhat surprised. Generally, documents are drafted by each department, then summarized in a meeting for approval. Sudden ideas rarely happen. Moreover, everyone was unprepared. It would be difficult to reach a unified conclusion. Nevertheless, Lu Qingji still wanted to express his thoughts. Zhou Jingting nodded. Well, the meeting has just started. Go ahead. So we don't have to call everyone together again later. The other leaders also nodded in agreement. Lu Qingji seemed to have made a significant mental preparation. However, he ultimately decided that he had to speak up. He looked at Zhou Jingting and the other leaders. Commander, I think for Su Chen's abilities, being treated merely as an Air Force advisor is too modest. How about we promote him to the rank of colonel? As soon as he said this, the entire conference room fell silent. Even those who had been whispering and discussing the future applications of mechs stopped their chatter, their gazes all turning to Su Chen. Zhou Jingting was also taken aback. This sudden proposal really caught everyone off guard. He did not draw any conclusions, but instead looked at the leaders present. What do you all think? Almost instantly, voices began to rise in the conference room. Colonel, did I hear that right? You, Lu Qingji, are actually suggesting promoting a 20-something rookie to colonel. How many years did you struggle to achieve the rank of Major General? Although we emphasize capability over seniority, we can't just easily grant such a high rank and treatment just because he has shown some talent and ability in the mech field. Military rank represents honor and responsibility. This is no trivial matter. Moreover, I heard that Comrade Su Chen is just a university student, and his only interaction with our military was during military training. He isn't even a soldier. How can we promote him? You can't expect to enlist him today and promote him tomorrow. It's astonishing. Rising from a private to colonel in a day, he'd outpace a rocket. The discussions among the leaders grew louder, and they were mostly filled with skepticism. Zhou Jingting did not oppose the idea, but also did not agree. He calmly looked at Lu Qingji and said, Old Lu, you should know that you're only a major general yourself. Who knows, if Su Chen creates another impressive piece of black technology, you might have to call him commander in the future. However, I know you don't speak without reason. So, tell me, why do you want to promote Su Chen to colonel? Lu Qingji wore a gushao. Commander, didn't I just say? Su Chen's contributions are immense. Although the honor of being a $1 million advisor is a good treatment, it really isn't enough for Su Chen's achievements. I suddenly realized that what we offered seems a bit lacking. If it were another country, I'm sure, they could offer rewards many times greater than this, even dozens or hundreds of times. Upon hearing this, the eyes of the crowd showed a hint of surprise. They had not seen the mech with their own eyes, only heard about it. So, while they felt shocked, it was far from being overwhelming. Now, seeing Lu Qingji so highly regard that mech, they couldn't help but wonder, wasn't the mech just a metal shell? Did it have some extraordinary functions that warranted such a reaction from Lu Qingji? Although it was a sudden idea, Lu Qingji had long been prepared. This preparation was for applying Su Chen as an honorary advisor. However, everyone surprisingly agreed, so there was no need to showcase it. But now, it had become useful, knowing that everyone was skeptical. So, I prepared a short video for everyone to watch. Saying this, he took out a USB drive and plugged it into the computer. After a moment, a figure appeared on the conference room screen. It was a mech. It nodded at the camera, and the next second, its body slowly levitated. Blue flames appearing beneath its feet. A few seconds later, with a whoosh, the mech vanished from the spot and shot into the sky. In almost an instant, it disappeared from sight. The camera quickly captured its silhouette, but all they could see was it diving into the clouds, and about a second later, the camera could no longer track it. It was too fast. The expressions of the crowd changed. Their eyes suddenly became serious. Some leaders even stood up from their seats, staring at the screen with wide eyes. What the heck? It actually flew up? And the speed was just insane. I had heard it could fly and that it was fast, but I never expected it to be this fast. Just this explosive power alone could consume half a ton of gasoline. But where did its energy come from? I didn't see any fuel tanks on its back. What kind of high technology is this? Some said this mech's overall performance surpassed our 5th-generation fighters, and I didn't believe it at the time, but now, I do. Damn it. The leaders had heard that this mech could fly, but they hadn't heard that its flying speed was so violent, practically disappearing in the blink of an eye. Moreover, the source of its energy was still a mystery. At this moment, Lu Qingji distributed the printed materials to these leaders. Looking at the documents in their hands, the leaders were even more shocked. Their eyes were filled with disbelief. Not only could it fly, but its maximum speed could exceed 3 Mach. It could even become invisible, evading all our radar detection. Equipped with high-energy solid-state energy, 1 unit of energy could allow a fighter jet to fly for 400,000 kilometers. My goodness, is this for real? With built-in advanced artificial intelligence, it was able to grasp the secrets of our artillery units without even engaging. It could even crack the satellite communications of foreign powers. As the overall commander, Zhou Jingting was astonished. This was the first time he learned about the true power of this mech. His hands holding the documents trembled uncontrollably. Is this really a mech? It feels more like they created an ancestor. May our nation be blessed with eternal prosperity. Chapter 17. What is it like to have a villa of your own in school? The military conference hall was silent, with a pin drop audible. These leaders were beyond shocked and didn't know what to say. They all knew that a student from the National Defense had created a very advanced mech. This was exhilarating. Therefore, there was almost no opposition to granting him the title of honorary consultant, and the decision was unanimously passed. However, Lu Qingji then proposed to award colonel rank to Su Chen. As leaders of the military district, they were cautious about this matter. They felt that being an honorary technical consultant for the Air Force was already a good treatment. There was no need to grant the rank of colonel. At this moment, when they truly understood the mecha created by Su Chen, they realized that they had previously underestimated both the machine and its creator, ignoring all detection radars with its super stealth technology, easily surpassing the maximum speed limit of Mach 3 that 5th-generation fighters can reach. With an astonishing reserve of high-energy solid-state power that can also be supplemented by solar energy, It is even equipped with an artificial intelligence system that seems to belong to a future era, only existing in movies. Each of these technologies, when presented, would shock the world. And Su Chun was able to create and integrate all of them into a single mecha. They couldn't believe what kind of scene would unfold if this mecha appeared on the battlefield. But they could guarantee that once this mecha made its debut, the initial battle would be decisive. At this moment, Su Chun, in their eyes, was no longer just a simple university student. He was an existence comparable to the one who invented the nuclear bomb. No wonder some believe that if he were treated better by certain powers, it would be even more justified. Not to mention, they now felt that the current treatment of an Air Force advisor was indeed too meager. Zhou Jingtian asked again, "Does anyone else have something to say?" Silence. However, it only lasted 2 seconds. Someone raised their hand again. Everyone looked at him. Was there still opposition? Some leaders were ready to roll up their sleeves to defend Su Chen's rights. Although he had not yet entered the military, they already regarded him as a precious asset. He must be allowed to join the military. Anyone who opposed them would be going against them. Even opposition from their own would not be tolerated. However, they were surprised that this leader was not opposing but rather said, "Commander, wouldn't the colonel title be a bit modest? I have a feeling this mecha will absolutely revolutionize future warfare and could even become a new type of strategic weapon surpassing the nuclear bomb. Why not go straight to the point and directly grant Comrade Su Chen the rank of Major General?" Upon hearing this, everyone was taken aback. They thought he was opposing. But unexpectedly, he felt the colonel rank was too low. Zhou Jingtian then suddenly raised a serious question. "Comrade Zhao Gang, I understand your thoughts. The key is, how old is Su Chen? Just in his early 20s. It's the time when youth is exuberant. What if we grant him the rank of Major General, making him the youngest general in our country? What if he becomes arrogant?" Of course, that was not the most important thing. Su Chen absolutely has great potential. What if one day he comes up with some shocking black technology? What would happen if there was nothing left to promote him? As soon as these words were spoken, everyone reacted and realized that Zhou Jingtian had a point. However, some felt that Zhou Jingtian had set his expectations for Su Chen too high. Creating such an astonishing mecha was unprecedented. Did he still expect Su Chen to create even more powerful things? Was that possible? Finally, Zhao Gang's proposal was temporarily rejected, and he had nothing to say because he felt that Zhou Jingting's points were valid. Thus, the youngest colonel in the history of the nation was born. The comprehensive laboratory is undergoing renovations according to Su Chen's ideas, as the new laboratory is highly valued by the upper management. New equipment is also being purchased, so it is not yet completed. Su Chen is still conducting research work in Ma Jiqiang's laboratory. At this moment, this laboratory has stopped being open to others and is only for Su Chen's use. Lu Qingji arrived with the promotion documents and handed them to Su Chen. "Colonel?" Su Chen was completely stunned when he saw the text on the promotion document. No one had reminded him that he would be promoted, and it was to the rank of colonel. It should be noted that above colonel is brigadier general. He was just one step away from becoming a general of the nation. Su Chen was a bit confused. "But I'm not a soldier yet. Is this compliant?" Lu Qingji laughed at his words. "These are all minor issues." He patted Su Chen on the shoulder. "Keep up the good work, Comrade Su. Maybe one day when I see you, I'll have to call you sir." He was also well prepared. He took out a satellite phone from his briefcase and handed it to Su Chen. "From now on, we will use this satellite phone to communicate. Necessary security measures must be taken. Moreover, I will also take care of your security issues." He led Su Chen to the floor-to-ceiling window of the laboratory and pointed to a 2-story villa in a corner of the school. This villa has a small yard, and no one has lived there since it was built. The passing students are very curious about this villa, but have never seen its owner. You will move out of the dormitory and live in that small yard. It was originally prepared for a distinguished old general, as there were agents wanting his life. So the security measures there are quite extensive. Unfortunately, the old general passed away due to sudden illness and never got to live there. Now it's just right for you. What is it like to have your own villa at school? Su Chen is about to experience it. He noticed that this villa is very close to the school's revitalization building, which is quite convenient, so he did not refuse. After explaining all this, Lu Qingji hurried back. He has a series of security arrangements to make for Su Chen. At the same time, he needs to collaborate with colleagues from other departments to ensure comprehensive security measures. At the Air Force Base of the Northern Combat Command, a spirited, short-haired female soldier just returned to her dormitory, received orders from her superiors, and was taken to a mysterious room. Facing her was General Lu Qingji, the highest commander of the base. "Sir, are you asking me to disguise myself as a student and return to my alma mater to protect a junior? Are you sure this isn't a movie? Or is it a top military secret?" Zhao Dara was very confused by this order. For a moment, she thought she was in a film. The cliché plot of a cool female soldier falling for the person she is supposed to protect. Although she didn't understand, she still obeyed the superior's orders and went to the military academy dormitory. The villa courtyard had been tidied up by designated personnel, and Su Chen had just finished packing when he was ready to move into the courtyard. However, at that moment, a cheerful sound of footsteps suddenly came from outside. The summer vacation was over, and the roommates were returning to school. Sure enough, roommate Lu Shuai was back. He pushed open the door with a flourish, striking a pose he thought was cool. "Kids, your dad is back." Then he saw Su Chen carrying bags, looking at him as if he were an idiot. "Hey, Brother Chen, you just arrived too." Then he noticed that Su Chen was actually preparing to leave. "What the heck, Brother Chen, what are you doing? Are you abandoning me?" Su Chen shot him a glance. You idiot, Lu Shuai. I'm moving out to live. With a bit of awareness, help me carry the luggage. Lu Shuai quickly lent a hand, taking one bag and throwing it over his shoulder. The two walked outside. Su Chun briefly explained the reason for moving out. After the 4th year, everyone would be busy with their own futures. Those preparing for exams would prepare, those looking for jobs would look for jobs. Everyone's pace was different, and being together would affect each other. Lu Shuai clearly found it hard to adapt at that moment, and the melancholy of graduation was written all over his face. He lowered his head, saying nothing. Su Chun felt his gloom and understood the feelings of this cheap roommate. Come on, I'm just moving out of the dorm. It's not like we won't see each other again. Lu Shuai replied, no, I still want you to see my mecha model. I spent 2 months on it. It will definitely blow your mind. Su Chun smiled. All right, if yours is better than mine, I'll treat you to a meal. Otherwise, you treat me. Lu Shuai's eyes sparkled. Deal. Just wait to be treated by your brother. Lu Shuai was in high spirits. After dropping Su Chun off, he planned to show him the mecha model from his backpack. Just then, he noticed the mysterious courtyard ahead. The door actually opened. He was a bit surprised. Brother Chun. Look, the door to that courtyard is open. I've been here for so long. It's the first time I've seen it open. Do you think some big shot moved in? Almost every time he passed by, Lu Shuai would guess who lived in that courtyard. Definitely not an ordinary person. Even the principal wouldn't have such treatment. But after waiting for a while, he didn't get a response from Su Chun. Just as he was about to ask what was going on, in the next second, he saw Su Chun carrying his luggage, walking towards that small courtyard. Lu Shuai was dumbfounded. Chapter 18. Same compulsory education. Why are you so outstanding? What the heck? Brother Chun, what are you doing? You're in the wrong place. That is not somewhere we can go. Seeing Su Chun walk towards the mysterious courtyard and even enter it, Lu Shuai was startled, mainly because this place was really not something they could approach. In the past, there would always be guards here. Whenever someone approaches, they are advised to leave by these individuals. After all, this is a defense university, and the students possess a strong sense of confidentiality. They are aware that this area may involve state secrets, which is why no one is allowed to come close. Gradually, no one approached this place anymore. During the new student enrollment ceremony, the deans of various colleges also mentioned certain areas related to military secrets that students cannot access, including this small courtyard. There are even absurd rumors circulating. It is said that all the tall buildings near this small courtyard are controlled by military personnel. They have arranged for several elite snipers to closely monitor this area. Anyone who comes close might get a bullet to the forehead. Therefore, when Lu Shuai saw Su Chun enter inside, he almost turned pale with fear. Meanwhile, the returning students passing by saw Su Chun going in and looked at him with disbelief. Are you new students? You can't go in there. Yes. You should back away slowly. It's very dangerous. I'm a senior at this school. That place is not for us students to enter casually. If you're caught lightly, you might be taken away, and if it's serious, it could be deadly. Hearing these words, Lu Shuai was sweating profusely. He didn't dare to get close, but didn't want to just watch Su Chun go unchecked either, preparing to rush in and pull him out. Just as he stepped inside, he saw the door of the villa in the courtyard suddenly swing open. Several individuals in military uniforms walked out. Leading them was a middle-aged female lieutenant. When Lu Shuai saw them come out, his heart sank. He knew he was in trouble. Had he encountered security? Would he be punished? At that moment, he could only think of one thing: to leave quickly. If he didn't run now, something serious would happen. With that thought, he was about to grab Su Chun and run outside. Just then, he heard the female lieutenant's voice. Su Chun, you're here. Quickly go help Su Chun with his luggage. As her words fell, several soldiers quickly ran to Su Chun's side and helped carry his luggage inside. This scene left Lu Shuai completely dumbfounded. His head was buzzing. If one didn't know better, they might think they were dreaming. This small courtyard, rumored to be mysterious and off-limits to outsiders, not only allowed them to enter effortlessly, but also welcomed them warmly. This scene simultaneously shocked the students outside the courtyard. They exchanged wide-eyed glances, unable to believe what they were seeing. Didn't our dean say that we, as students, cannot approach that courtyard? Who is that person? The dean also said that he doesn't have the qualifications to go near. What is the situation with that person? It can't be the son of some big shot, right? This is the master bedroom. This is the viewing platform. This is the second-floor swimming pool. If you want to swim, you just need to pull the curtain. Other students won't be able to see inside. Lieutenant Bai Yun led Su Chun and Lu Shuai on a tour of the small courtyard. Su Chun nodded frequently, while Lu Shuai remained completely confused throughout. He didn't understand why Lieutenant Bai Yun inexplicably took them on a tour. It wasn't until later that the lieutenant said, Su Chun, you can consider me your personal housekeeper. If you have any questions, feel free to contact me. I'm always available. I won't disturb you and your friends. After saying that, Bai Yun led her subordinates away, and even kindly closed the door behind them. Once they left, Su Chun casually found a place to sit. Meanwhile, Lu Shuai, like a marionette, turned his neck bit by bit to look at Su Chun. Foster father. My dear foster father. Are you hiding something from your son? It's only been 2 months since we last met, and your status has skyrocketed. Or were you the son of some big shot from a certain unit, and are now revealing your true identity, no longer wanting to pretend? Was this courtyard prepared for you from the start? Then you wanted to live an ordinary life, but now you're tired of it, so you're no longer pretending. And that lieutenant, even though she calls you Su Chun, her tone is so gentle, filled with genuine respect for you. What exactly is your identity? Your son is suffering from the secrets you keep. Lu Shuai couldn't hold back any longer and blurted out all his questions. Initially, he found it puzzling why Lieutenant Bai Yun took them to tour the courtyard, but now he understood. This was clearly prepared for Su Chun. When Su Chun mentioned moving dormitories, he meant moving here. Usually, he was just a fan of online literature, and the scenarios of pretending to be weak while being strong flashed through his mind. He immediately regarded Su Chun as the protagonist of an online novel. Seeing Lu Shuai so excited, Su Chun simply smiled calmly and said, "You're overthinking it. I'm just an ordinary person. This courtyard is actually a reward." He felt there was no need to hide anything from his roommate, so he continued, "It's a reward for creating a mech." Mech? Lu Shuai reacted. "Are you talking about the assignment to create a mech model left by Professor Ma?" Su Chun nodded. Lu Shuai's eyes widened in shock as he abruptly stood up from his seat. "No way. So just because you made a mech model, you got to live in this courtyard? Are you kidding me? I've made some decent mech models too. Why didn't they look at mine and just gave the reward to you? You must be joking." Lu Shuai couldn't believe it. Su Chun cleared his throat and calmly said, "What I made isn't a model." Lu Shuai waved his hand. "What if it's not a model?" "Not a model?" He trembled all over, as if struck by lightning, slowly turning his head to look at Su Chun, his eyes filled with shock and disbelief. "What did you say? You didn't make a model, so you created a mech?" Lu Shuai's voice suddenly rose. When he saw Su Chun nodding at him, his shock transformed into deep astonishment. "Brother Chun, are you sure you're not joking? The teacher asked you to make a model, and you directly made a mech? Why, in the same compulsory education, are you so outstanding? Tell me you're just messing with me." Lu Shuai was envious beyond measure. Before Su Chun could respond, suddenly, a humming sound of an engine came from outside the courtyard. After a while, the doorbell rang. Su Chun walked to the gate and opened it. A graceful figure appeared at the entrance. "May I ask if one of you is Su Chun?" It was Zhao Daru. Chapter 19. Protecting such a naive junior? Zhao Daru had neat short hair, with slightly curved tips that shimmered with a chestnut hue in the sunlight. Her petite face was exquisite, with eyebrows that seemed to have been drawn with the finest brush. Her long, curled eyelashes framed a pair of large, gem-like eyes, bright and lively. Below her high nose bridge, her rosy lips curled up slightly, adorned with a confident smile. She walked as if the wind accompanied her. Rolling up her sleeves, and her military outfit showcased her striking beauty. Su Chun was momentarily taken aback, feeling that he didn't recognize the person in front of him. Behind him, Lu Shuai exclaimed, "Zhao Daru Sr.?" Su Chun was stunned. "You know her?" "Know her? More than that," Lu Shuai exclaimed as he leaned closer. "You only focus on studying and don't even know Zhao Daru Sr.? She was a legendary figure in our school. During her year, she was someone everyone knew and talked about. Definitely a remarkable person. Many juniors have heard rumors about her." The impressive woman before them had showcased astonishing skills in various military competitions and drills organized by the university. Her agility and quick thinking made her stand out, whether in tactical planning or practical confrontations, far surpassing ordinary performance. She even represented the school in competitions organized by military forces, facing elite soldiers who had undergone rigorous training and selection, and many of them were no match for her. She shone like a brilliant star, radiating dazzling light wherever she went, capturing everyone's attention. Because of this, she was recruited immediately upon graduation by the most sought-after Air Force headquarters among the 3 branches of the military. And now, this remarkable person was standing right in front of them. Lu Shuai couldn't help but ask, "Senior, you graduated 2 years ago, didn't you?" Zhao Daru nodded gently, her beautiful eyes sparkling. "That's right, Junior. I'm back for a bit of work. May I ask if you are Su Chun?" Lu Shuai immediately shook his head. No, this is Su Chun, my good brother." Zhao Daru looked at Su Chun, sizing him up calmly. She spoke again. "Hello, Su Chun. I am Zhao Daru, and I will be responsible for your security from now on. Please wait for me a moment." With that, Zhao Daru turned back to the car. Beside her, Lu Shuai murmured in disbelief. "Wow, Chungu, did I hear that right? Such a beautiful senior is going to be in charge of your security. Did you really create a mech?" The scene of a beautiful bodyguard protecting a genius researcher is unfolding. Even though he had been incredulous before, he couldn't help but believe it at this moment. Could it be that Su Chun really created a mech? Otherwise, why would they pay so much attention to him? Just as he continued to ponder, Zhao Daru came over, pulling a suitcase. Without waiting for Su Chun to speak, she walked right into the villa. He never expected to live here one day. Clearly, in Zhao Daru's time, the legend of this mysterious courtyard already existed. She surveyed the interior, and then turned her head to look at Su Chun. "Junior, where do I stay?" Su Chun furrowed his brows sharply. Lu Shuai was nearly stunned. He couldn't believe it as he opened his mouth. "Senior, you still want to live here?" Zhao Daru flicked her bangs, exuding charm. "What else?" Lu Shuai was utterly flabbergasted. "Brother Chun, you're going to live with Senior Zhao Daru." Lu Shuai's face was a mix of envy, jealousy, and hatred. He was truly envious. They had already arranged for Su Chun to have an independent courtyard, and now they had even assigned him a beautiful bodyguard. Who wouldn't be envious? It was important to note that although Zhao Daru was 2 years older than them, she was not much older. She was in the prime of her youthful vitality. For these restless young people, it was simply a dream come true. Just as he thought, when the news of Senior Zhao Daru returning to school spread, it attracted many students. "Did you hear that Senior Zhao Daru is back at school? Oh my, she's a legendary figure in our school. Not only is she good looking, but her abilities are outstanding. Our dean encourages us every day by mentioning her." But she was in the courtyard, and they couldn't see her. The dean had warned them not to approach easily. No wonder she is a senior. I just saw her bringing in a lot of luggage. Is she really planning to move in? She truly has the capability to stay here. I heard this courtyard was prepared for a big shot. Could she be that big shot? But I just saw a male student moving in with a lot of luggage, and I thought he was a freshman. Turns out he is nothing special. What? Does that mean that male student is living with senior Zhao Daru? No. My goddess. This junior is your friend, right? Sorry, junior, but we have some confidential matters to discuss. Please head back for now. After Zhao Daru set down her luggage, she looked at Lu Shuai. Lu Shuai thought to himself, are they really starting to chase people away this quickly? He pulled Su Chen aside and whispered, foster father, take precautions. Foster son will retreat first. We'll contact each other if there's anything. After saying that, he turned and left. He even helped to disperse the onlookers outside. Once he left, Zhao Daru's tone became somewhat cold. Making crude jokes about women is not a good habit. Su Chen's body jolted. He didn't expect Zhao Daru to have such sharp hearing. Lu Shuai's voice had been very low, yet she still caught it. He felt a bit helpless. The guy just leaves without a word? What a joke. This is terrible. I hope his reputation isn't damaged. He sighed helplessly, wanting to leave a good impression on this beautiful senior. Forget it. Anyway, they were sent to protect him, so he didn't need to be too concerned about his image. He wasn't a bad person at heart. Su Chen casually explained. Zhao Dairo snorted lightly. It's obvious. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been able to walk out that door. After saying that, she took out a document from her backpack. This is what our leader asked me to give you. Check it and see if the seal is okay. Su Chen seemed to guess what was inside and was a bit surprised. You got it so quickly. The seal is fine. He was eager to open it. However, Zhao Dairo stopped him. Wait, are you really going to open the document here? Su Chen replied, what else should I do? Should I kneel and bow to it? Zhao Dairo said, no. This is very confidential. You'd better go back to your room to look at it. Su Chen grinned, as expected of a senior. Very professional. But he tore open the document anyway. I want to see it right here. Zhao Dairo felt a bit helpless. She looked around to ensure there were no surveillance devices before she felt safe letting Su Chen do as he pleased. She really didn't understand why they wanted her to protect such a naive junior. Was there any value in protecting him? Su Chen paid no attention to Zhao Dairo's opinions about him. His focus was entirely on the document. As he opened the envelope, another blueprint for a mecha appeared before him. The moment the blueprint appeared, a synthesized mechanical voice also sounded. Detected that the host recognized a certain mecha concept blueprint. Starting decompilation. Warning. Decompilation failed. The system begins to call upon the technical library for autonomous compilation. Compilation progress. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Compilation progress. 100. Compilation successful. Congratulations, host, you have obtained Panspace Mecha Technology. Chapter 20. Space Mecha? An Invincible Existence. Panspace Mecha Technology. This refers to a mecha capable of executing various tasks in different spaces. It also has another name, known as the Space Mecha. If the first-generation mecha produced before was the most powerful mecha on Earth in terms of overall performance, then the Panspace Mecha is the most powerful mecha that humanity can create across the universe. It is designed with the cosmos in mind, built for future space warfare. Currently, humanity's development of the universe is less than 1. The idea of conquering the cosmos is laughable. But once the Panspace Mecha is manufactured, it means that the Dragon Country will directly possess the power to dominate the entire universe. They could plant their red flag on various planets. As far as the eye can see, everything would be a colony of the Dragon Country. Other nations would be left helpless, especially the so-called strongest nation. If they knew that the Dragon Country had developed a space mecha, they would surely be furious. With the system recognizing the blueprint, suddenly, a complete image of a space mech appeared in Su Chen's mind. At the same time, a countdown appeared. This countdown was surprisingly long, lasting for 6 months. Su Chen realized that manufacturing this mech seemed to be quite challenging. The technology contained within indicated that this space mech was far more powerful than previous models. As he delved deeper into the secrets of the space mech, Su Chen felt a sense of awe. It's important to note that this mech was not just a breakthrough in appearance or basic performance. It seemed to hide a treasure trove of sci-fi technology, encompassing dozens of different technologies. Each technology represented a significant impact on modern science, like mysterious doors leading to a future world. For example, there was optical cloaking technology. It was like magic pulled straight from a sci-fi movie, allowing the mech to blend seamlessly into its surroundings like a mysterious ghost. Through the remarkable manipulation of light, whether in a sun-drenched desert, a dark and complex jungle, or the steel jungle of a city, the mech could achieve perfect stealth. Light would be guided across the mech's surface as if by an invisible hand, refracted, reflected, and distorted countless times, completely deceiving the enemy's eyes. Unlike the mimetic stealth of the first-generation mechs, this optical cloaking did not require the mech to remain stationary. An embedded supercomputer could quickly compute environmental information and match the corresponding optical parameters, enabling real-time cloaking. A true daytime ghost. Next was the built-in super self-repair technology. When the mech suffered damage in intense battles, whether the outer shell cracked from a shell hit or internal mechanical components were deformed by high temperatures, there was no need for cumbersome manual operations. The mech could self-repair. At the microscopic level, special nanomaterials and intelligent molecules would become active. They could quickly locate the damaged areas and, through complex chemical reactions and physical bonding, gradually repair the damage. This repair process was quick and efficient, allowing the mech to maintain its optimal combat state, as if it were an indomitable steel warrior. Additionally, there was its energy system, a small cold-processing nuclear reactor. This tiny reactor was like a tamed miniature sun, continuously releasing powerful and stable energy. It broke the limitations of traditional energy sources, providing power to the mech in extreme cold at the poles, unbearable heat in deserts, or at high altitudes with thin oxygen. This energy allowed the mech to operate continuously in various harsh environments, like an indefatigable super soldier. Lastly, there was an intelligence system similar to BT. However, the intelligence system of the space mech leaned more towards being an assistant. This assistance allowed even novice pilots to demonstrate extraordinary driving capabilities, transforming beginners into mech experts in no time, saving a significant amount of learning costs. Of course, as a transspace mech, its most striking feature is its extraordinary high-altitude combat capability. It completely breaks the height limitations of traditional combat. It can engage in battles in space. Besides that, this transspace mech is equipped with many technologies far beyond modern standards. Now, Suchun understands why the system gave him 6 months to manufacture it. It simply cannot be completed in a short time. However, at this moment, Suchun suddenly discovers that there is another blueprint behind this one. It depicts a large caliber weapon. A line of small text explains that it is the weapon system of this mech. It can be equipped with 2 laser cannons mounted on the mech. Just then, the system's voice sounds again. Identification successful. Congratulations to the host for obtaining the particle laser cannon technology. Subsequently, detailed information about the particle laser cannon enters Suchun's mind. This is significantly more powerful than the laser emitters of the first-generation mechs. Its maximum range is 100 kilometers. What's outrageous is its destructive power, which can easily penetrate the first-generation mechs. This is unbelievable. The first-generation mechs are practically weaklings in front of it. One must know that the materials used in the first-generation mechs are quite hard. Even a large-caliber howitzer cannot break through. Yet, it can be penetrated by the particle laser cannon. At that moment, Suchun suddenly realizes, is this mech complete? It feels like there are other technologies missing. For example, in the mech blueprint, the fist is half closed. It seems like it originally held something. Could it be another type of weapon? Slightly flawed modules can be supplemented by the system through decompilation, granting them new technologies. However, in this case, the system cannot make up for it. It seems that to create a true space mech, more information about transspace mechs is needed. Thinking of this, Suchun quickly takes out the satellite phone that Lu Qingji had given him earlier. When Lu Qingji hears it's Suchun calling, he immediately asks if he has received the secret documents. Chief, I have received the documents. That's good to hear. Lu Qingji seems to have something else to say. Comrade Suchun, do you know what this blueprint is? It's the blueprint for the space mech. Suchun replies. Lu Qingji is slightly taken aback, then comes to a realization. That's right. It's the new concept proposed not long ago. The space mech. It is said to be capable of conducting cosmic warfare in space. When they proposed this concept, we were all quite worried. They had already suggested a mech for combat within spheres, and now they're proposing a space mech. Does this mean their ground mechs have already been manufactured? Our higher-ups are very anxious about this. In short, I hope this document will be useful for your upcoming research. So they've already started researching space mechs? Suchun is also a bit surprised. Their technology is that advanced. This world is similar to his previous life. So why is this world's entity so powerful? It seems he needs to hurry up. He expressed his needs. Chief, I need more information about this space mech, preferably the blueprints. Lu Qingji was focused solely on execution, not questioning why or what it was for. As long as Suchun needed it, he would take care of it. All right. I will try my best to gather more information for you. By the way, has Zhao Daru already arrived? Suchun glanced at the senior beside him and nodded. She is already here. Their conversation had long caught Zhao Daru's attention. Initially, she didn't pay much attention when she saw Suchun making a call, until she noticed it was a satellite phone. Moreover, the voice on the other end was very familiar to her. It was actually their Air Force commander, Lu Qingji. Zhao Daru was shocked to see this junior casually calling Lu Qingji. The other party's tone was very gentle. This left her utterly stunned. Living in this mysterious courtyard was one thing, but maintaining such close contact with high-ranking officials was another. Who exactly was Suchun? Chapter 21 Teacher. Love will disappear, right? Let's leave it at that. Suchun hung up the phone. At that moment, Zhao Daru's voice rang out beside him. Junior, who were you just talking to? Suchun looked at her calmly. Senior, it's not a good habit to pry into others' privacy. Zhao Daru's eyes widened in surprise. She was astonished that Suchun dared to challenge her. Worried that Zhao Daru might explode, as he was no match for her, he added, you should have recognized the voice. Chief Lu Qingji. Upon hearing this, Zhao Daru's expression changed rapidly. It really was Commander Lu Qingji. Earlier, she had only thought the voice sounded a bit like Lu Qingji, but it was quite soft, now confirmed by Suchun. She couldn't help but scrutinize him with renewed curiosity about his identity. All right, senior, I have to leave for the lab now. Suchun was eager to experiment with the numerous techniques he had just obtained. The system only gave him 6 months, and he planned to manufacture all the technology for the space mech within that time. A heavy task lay ahead. Therefore, he had to seize every moment. Currently, he had no idea how far research on space mechs had progressed elsewhere. He had to complete the space mech before it was unveiled by others. I'll go too. Wait for me. Zhao Dara's task was to protect Su Chen closely. Seeing him about to go out, she quickly returned to her room to change into cooler clothes. Wearing military uniform in the army had added to her valiant aura. Once the uniform was gone and she donned casual attire, Zhao Daru transformed into a representation of vitality. Her originally fair skin had turned into a healthy wheat color due to training, but it remained delicate. With exquisite features, her gem-like eyes were concealed behind sunglasses, which not only blocked the sunlight, but also allowed her to observe suspicious individuals without alarming them, enabling her to identify potential threats immediately to ensure Su Chen's safety. Su Chen looked up and down at Zhao Dairo, chuckling helplessly. The chief sent you to be my bodyguard. I'm afraid that's not a good idea. Zhao Dairo was taken aback. Why do you say that? Su Chen laughed lightly. Do I need to ask? With a senior like you around, anywhere can become the center of attention. Even I am under the spotlight. But thankfully I have this. Su Chen picked up a suitcase and handed it to Zhao Dairo. With this, we'll be safe. Zhao Dairo was momentarily stunned, curiously examining the suitcase. What is this? Su Chen replied. With your current clearance, you're not qualified to know. Zhao Dairo smiled calmly. Didn't Chief Lu tell you? Before taking on the task of protecting you, I signed a confidentiality agreement. I have the right to know any information regarding this operation. Su Chen was somewhat surprised. I didn't expect the senior to be trusted so much by the organization. Zhao Dairo lifted her delicate chin. Now can you tell me what's in the suitcase? Su Chen said, I can, but I don't want to. After saying that, he turned around and walked straight outside. Zhao Dairo was so annoyed by his words that she stomped her foot. The proud Zhao Dairo rarely faced setbacks, especially from boys. Su Chen was definitely the first. Seeing Su Chen over 5 meters away, she quickly reacted and chased after him. In the comprehensive laboratory, as soon as they arrived downstairs, Su Chen saw a busy scene. Ma Jiqiang was sweating profusely. He was moving various equipment from the comprehensive laboratory to the new lab with his doctoral students. Some of the equipment was small and delicate, containing complex scientific principles, while others were large and heavy, requiring special moving tools to transport. Ma Jiqiang operated carefully, ensuring each piece of equipment was safely transferred to the new location. Su Chen and Zhao Dairo approached. Soon, the two attracted everyone's attention, especially those who had already become doctoral students. Their eyes automatically skipped over Su Chen and landed on Zhao Dairo. Zhao Dairo? Is that Junior Zhao Dairo? Yes, that's her. Even with glasses, I can still recognize her. Who was that person next to her? Seems like a junior from the undergraduate class. How did he end up with Zhao Dairo? Surely our junior ISNT pursuing her, right? ISNT pursuing her? What is his qualification? I haven't even pursued her yet. Alright. A bunch of old guys shouldn't be thinking about Junior Zhao. I think that junior looks pretty good. At least he is better looking than you all. Exactly. Keep moving the equipment, or be careful of the professor scolding you. It's really baffling why they want to move the equipment to the new building. Doesn't that mean we'll have to do experiments there too? Xiaosu, you're here. Oh, ISNT that Zhao Dairo. What brings you back to campus? Ma Jiqiang noticed Su Chen and also recognized Zhao Dairo, the once outstanding graduate. Zhao Dairo smiled and greeted Ma Jiqiang. Hello, professor. I'll be staying at the school for a while. The specific reason ISNT convenient to disclose. Why are you moving all this equipment on such a hot day? Ma Jiqiang looked at Su Chen and said, Isn't this all for you? Su Chen? Ma Jiqiang's words not only left Zhao Dairo confused, but even the senior students were equally astonished, momentarily at a loss for words. Su, you're here. Just in time. I need to tell you something. The school has notified us that the arrival of some new equipment might be delayed. For now, you'll have to make do with these old devices. We can't let the equipment affect your research work. Ma Jiqiang explained. Su Chen suddenly paused. So, you mean the new lab is already available for use? Ma Jiqiang nodded. Exactly. This is the last batch of equipment. I'll take you to check out the new lab shortly. Fuxing Building. This is a laboratory building that is several times larger than the comprehensive lab. It was already filled with various advanced equipment. Its scale is comparable to that of a medium-sized factory. Originally intended as a naval armaments research institute to study key components, it naturally required a large research facility. However, for some unknown reason, it was never completed and ended up being idle. Now it's just right for Su Chen. Ma Jiqiang led Su Chen and others inside for a tour. They were immediately stunned by the complete equipment and vast area. Some seniors had their eyes shining with excitement. With this equipment, not to mention a graduation thesis, I could confidently write 10 of them. This is simply a paradise for researchers. I would be willing to live here forever. Professor, since our equipment has been moved here, does that mean we'll be doing experiments here from now on? I really like it here. The seniors all looked at Professor Ma. Even Zhao Dairo was excited for them. Although she did not pursue further studies after graduation, her major was related to experiments. She understood how much these devices could assist in experiments. It would be easy to produce a quality thesis. However, in the next moment, their expressions suddenly changed. Ma Jiqiang took a key card from his pocket and handed it to Su Chen. At the same time, he said to the group of students, What you're saying is useless to me. You need to talk to Su Chen. Zhao Dairo questioned the seniors. Why is that? Ma Jiqiang replied, Because this entire laboratory building is prepared for Su Chen. In other words, he is the owner of this building. As soon as these words were spoken, everyone's gaze turned to Su Chen in unison, their eyes filled with shock. Professor, are you joking? This entire building is all prepared for this junior? What about our lab without equipment? Ma Jiqiang reassured them. It's okay. When the new equipment arrives, we can move these old devices back. The seniors were on the verge of tears. Teacher, so love really can disappear, right? Chapter 22. The big shot assists Su Chun. Is the world going crazy? Ma Jiqiang felt helpless. Both the palm and the back of the hand are flesh. Su Chun is his student, and so are these doctoral students. It's not that he favors Su Chun. After all, even he, as a professor, will have to use old equipment during experiments. Moreover, the old equipment might affect the experimental results. What truly impacts them are the small matters. If it affects Su Chen's research, it might even influence the fate of the nation. The worst that could happen is that they can replace the equipment with new ones later. But absolutely no old equipment for Su Chun. However, these young and passionate students clearly don't understand. To them, this is favoritism. Outright favoritism. Professor, why don't you tell us what exactly this junior is researching that warrants such favoritism from the school? Yeah, professor. I can't believe this junior's research is more important than my research on the application of advanced composite materials in military equipment structures. The material I'm studying could provide new research ideas for armored vehicle materials in the future, and my research on electromagnetic interference resistance technologies for military electronic devices. You said my research could open up new application scenarios for domestic drones. It's even supposed to be discussed at a national conference. How can that be less important than this junior's work? And mine, professor. My research on key technologies for hypersonic weapons and their applications in the military field could optimize engines for fifth-generation aircraft in the future. So, professor, what exactly is this junior researching that makes you favor him so much? These doctoral students were all feeling a bit indignant, being students from such a prestigious school. They all had a competitive spirit. Professor Ma was quite satisfied with their mentality, but at the same time, he felt helpless. Your research is all very good. I have high hopes for each of you. But sadly, even though you are so outstanding, you don't even have the qualification to know what his research is about. Boom. As Professor Ma's words fell, it was as if thunder had struck in the minds of these doctoral students. They were utterly shocked. Proud as they were, they found it hard to believe what they just heard from Professor Ma. They were not qualified to know about Su Chen's research. Not even qualified. How could this be? They looked at Su Chen, their eyes filled with disbelief. Is he really just an undergraduate? Is an undergraduate's research already this impressive? Even beyond what they, as doctoral students, could reach? To ease the students' feelings, Professor Ma added. Of course, Su Chen's research is somewhat special. Don't think it's just you. If it weren't for the special circumstances, I might not have the qualification to know about his research either. It's all because Su Chen is my student that I have the privilege to witness his research. At this point, Zhao Deru could no longer contain herself. She looked at Su Chen with wide eyes, filled with disbelief. How could someone like Professor Ma, a towering figure, say such things? What exactly is Su Chen researching? Initially, she thought Su Chen was just a junior with some abilities in certain areas. But now it seems, it's far from that simple. This junior is definitely not ordinary. I must figure out her determination. Since childhood, I've never been so curious about anyone. Alright, you all hurry back. Try not to spread the news about what happened with Su Chen today. Otherwise, someone might come looking for you. Professor Ma looked at the group of doctoral students, reminding them, as if they had suffered some blow. The doctoral students numbly nodded and then left. On the way, they felt heavy-hearted. By the way, do you believe what the professor said? The professor has no reason to lie to us. And haven't you heard? Something big happened before the school year started. I heard the military even came, and our professor was one of the witnesses. I feel it should be related to that incident. Perhaps, the main character of the event is that junior. Maybe, we witnessed a true genius today. Ironically, I originally thought I was a genius, but unexpectedly, in front of a real genius, we can't even reach the threshold, let alone be qualified to know what they're researching. Don't be upset, everyone has their own script. Perhaps theirs is the script of the main character. Professor, I might need some new equipment and materials. After those doctoral students left, Su Chen expressed her thoughts to the professor. However, these thoughts surprised Professor Ma. Xiao Su, isn't the current equipment enough? Wait, do you have new ideas again? Professor Ma was somewhat shocked. It had only been 2 months, and she already had new ideas? Su Chen nodded. You could say that. So I need some new equipment and materials. Su Chen had made a decision in her heart. In addition to researching the relevant technology for space mechas, she also wanted to improve the weaponry of the first-generation mechas and conduct practical tests. The manufacturing of the pan-spatial mechas requires half a year, and the weapon system of the first-generation mechas cannot undergo practical testing due to limitations. Now, she had obtained a super weapon, the particle laser cannon. Su Chen had a sudden idea. If the particle laser cannon were mounted on the first-generation mecha, wouldn't it elevate the combat system's power to be comparable to that of space mechas? She planned to wait until all the materials were gathered before starting the research on the pan-spatial mechas, focusing on developing the particle laser cannon technology in the meantime. The materials needed for the laser cannon have very high requirements. With no other option, Su Chen could only seek help from the school. Ma Jiqiang was shocked at that moment. He didn't expect that his casual question would lead Su Chen to actually have new ideas. He immediately expressed his full support. Write down the equipment and materials you need, and send it to me later. I will report it to the school, and get it to you as quickly as possible. As long as the materials exist in this world, I will get them for you, at any cost. Even if it means using national power. Zhao Daru trembled slightly, increasingly shocked. What exactly is Su Chen doing? The school is supporting her so much. They even want to use national power. At that time, the manufacturing of mushroom eggs in the Dragon Country could only reach this level, right? What on earth is Su Chen doing? Su Chen didn't notice the flickering eyes of Zhao Daru and continued. And there's also the professors. It's not just about materials and equipment. Because the materials needed for synthesis are special, we might need the help of professors from the Materials Institute. Professor Ma agreed without a second thought. No problem. Even if they are busy, we will make sure they come to assist you. You can rest assured about this. The more Zhao Daru listened, the more absurd it seemed. Many professors from the Materials Institute are industry leaders who were invited back to the school after retiring from the Academy of Sciences. Professor Ma actually wants them to help Su Chen? Insanity. This world is absolutely crazy. Chapter 23. Su Chen takes the lead. Shocked academicians. Fuxing Building. After several days of tidying up, the experimental building was ready for use. In the laboratory, Su Cheng, the dean of the Materials Institute, along with other professors from the institute, were called here. Dean Su is now 70 years old. He has maintained good health due to regular exercise. His steps are as steady as they were in his younger days. It wasn't Professor Ma Qiang who called them here. Although he is a titan in engineering, Su Cheng can be considered the founder of materials science in the Dragon Country. Only the president could persuade him to come. Chen Ming was also present. In the laboratory, there were not only the titan of engineering, President Chen Ming, but also the founder of materials science, along with several other professors who studied under Professor Su Cheng, all of whom are highly regarded in the field of materials science in the Dragon Country. President, may I ask why you called us here? Dean Su inquired about the purpose of their visit. Dean Su, I called you here because we have a research project that requires your assistance, Chen Ming explained. Su Cheng was a bit surprised. You know, we have been busy with a research project on armored materials recently, and we are nearing completion. Research on military armor has always been a hot topic. Before the 1970s, the study of armored materials was very active, but with the advent of explosive reactive armor, the heat of research on armored materials gradually diminished, although it still holds an important position in materials science research. If our research succeeds, it could be a revolutionary change for our military armor. What research could be more important than ours? Su Cheng held his own research in high regard. Chen Ming smiled calmly. You'll know in a moment. As he spoke, his gaze turned towards the room behind him. Su Chen, please come out. As the words fell, a young man walked out from inside. Everyone's gaze suddenly fell on him. Su Cheng, however, noticed Zhao Daru beside Su Chen. Xiaoro, what are you doing here? Zhao Daru greeted Su Cheng. Teacher, I'm back to carry out a task. Su Cheng nodded. Zhao Daru was originally a student of the Materials Institute, and later, not wanting to continue her studies, she was specially recruited into the Air Force. Su Cheng's gaze shifted to Su Chen. He was somewhat puzzled. Chen Ming explained beside him. Old Su, this is the leader of this research. From now on, just listen to his arrangements. As his words fell, Su Cheng's pupils gradually widened. Still thinking he might have misheard, the expressions of the other professors also changed suddenly, exchanging glances, doubting their own hearing. Not just them. Seeing that Su Chen had indeed called the dean and professors of the Materials College, Zhao Daru felt a sense of disbelief inside. As Su Cheng's student, she knew very well Su Cheng's status in the region. It was said that the research Su Cheng was currently conducting could potentially elevate him to an academician-level existence. Yet, this person, so close to becoming an academician, was casually summoned by Su Chen. It seemed that even President Chen Ming had personally intervened. Dean Su, esteemed professors, hello? I understand you must have many questions, and I can appreciate that. Now, please sign this confidentiality document, and I will address each of your inquiries. This was getting more and more absurd. Su Cheng had lived for so long and had never encountered such ridiculousness. At his age, he was actually required to follow the arrangements of a young lad. As a pioneer in materials science in the region, he had always been the one to arrange things for others. For the first time, he was being arranged by someone else. More critically, he was even required to sign a confidentiality agreement. He felt increasingly perplexed, not knowing what was really going on. However, since it was Chen Ming who invited them, there must be a reason for it. They didn't overthink it and decisively signed the confidentiality agreement. Now can you tell us what this is about? Su Cheng asked. Su Chen nodded, took out several printed blueprints, and distributed them to Su Cheng and the other professors. As they received the blueprints, the concept diagram of the particle laser cannon appeared before their eyes. Su Chen's voice rang out. As you can see, this is a concept diagram of a particle laser cannon. The so-called particle laser cannon is a conceptual weapon capable of gathering a large amount of energy and releasing it instantaneously. Due to the intense energy fluctuations that occur during the energy accumulation process, special materials are needed to control this energy and prevent leakage. This is the reason I asked you all to come and help. As soon as these words were spoken, everyone present was taken aback. Su Cheng was even more shocked. He suddenly looked at Chen Ming. Particle laser cannon? President Chen, has our country's weaponry developed to this extent? Chen Ming and Professor Ma were also stunned and hurried over. Seeing the blueprints in their hands, they revealed expressions of astonishment. Their reactions all fell into Su Cheng's eyes. What's going on? From your reactions, it seems you just found out too? Chen Ming chuckled. To be honest, I just learned about it too. Su Chen said his research needed the help of materials science experts, so I invited you all. This seemingly casual remark left Su Cheng feeling incredulous. Chun Ming didn't even know what Su Chen's research was about and still called him over. This was too much trust and belief in Su Chun. He couldn't help but scrutinize the young man across from him. He expressed his doubts. Your name is Su Chen, right? Creating materials to control laser energy is a good idea, but with our capabilities, it might be very difficult to produce. This is definitely not a simple material. It's a material of the future. To create it would take at least 20 to 30 years, or even half a century. At my old age, I fear I won't last until then. Su Chen smiled calmly. Old Su, you can rest assured. Principal Chun has already informed you that I will lead this project. All you need to do is assist me. Moreover, it's not as difficult as you think. It doesn't require that much time. 1 month is sufficient. Upon hearing this, Su Chen could no longer contain himself. You will lead? And it can be produced in a month? This pioneer of materials science stared wide-eyed. He looked at Chun Ming, wanting to confirm if this was true. Then he saw Chun Ming nodding at him. Su Chun was completely stunned. After a long while, he finally reacted. Old Man Rong asks, are you sure this isn't a joke? They say those who excel come first. May I ask, Su Chun, what achievements do you have? Su Chun rubbed his chin. As for achievements, it seems I have none. I just don't know if creating a mech counts as an achievement. Mech? Su Cheng's expression shifted from surprise to shock, and then to relief. At that moment, he finally understood who Su Chun was. It was indeed the mech he had manufactured. In fact, Su Chun had learned of the mech's existence through his channels. When the military surrounded the comprehensive experimental building, he happened to be conducting experiments with his team. Later, he inquired with students in high military ranks and got wind of the country's creation of a mech. He later learned that this mech was made by a student from their school. However, this information was highly confidential. Not long ago, he had been approached by individuals in black, had a little chat, and signed some confidentiality agreements because of this information. Now he finally understood what was happening. Su Chun, let us get started. From now on, you will lead this project. I believe it will be an interesting collaboration. I hope you can broaden our horizons. Su Chen smiled calmly. Thank you all for your cooperation. Everyone chuckled, except for Zhao Daru, who looked around in confusion. She tugged at Su Chen's sleeve. Hey, what is going on with the mech? How come I haven't heard anything about it? Su Chen gave her a faint smile and didn't explain. This frustrated her. She felt like everyone knew while she was in the dark. Why was that? She had clearly signed the confidentiality agreement too. She secretly resolved to find out. Su Chen was becoming more and more mysterious to her. The more he withheld information, the more she wanted to know. However, for the next month, Su Chen was immersed in the laboratory. During this entire month, Zhao Daru couldn't find the opportunity. Nevertheless, during this time, her impression of Su Chen gradually changed. She discovered that Su Chen had a terrifying passion for research. He could spend a month living in the laboratory in order to tackle a difficult problem. He could even work nonstop for 72 hours. Even the professors who watched him thought he was pushing himself too hard. Besides his passion, there was also his astonishing talent. Zhao Daru accompanied Su Chen and those professors throughout the process. She witnessed how the professors initially looked down on Su Chen, but later, after he showcased his advanced insights in materials science, their disdain vanished, replaced by admiration. Su Chen seemed to transform into the Greek god of knowledge in materials science. With just one theory enough to keep them researching for years, they often felt that as long as they could learn from him, it was worth it. Even if they had to stay up all night. It was Zhao Daru who could no longer stand it, and had to ask Chun Ming to intervene so that the professors could get some rest. After that, it was common to see professors asking Su Chen questions during their free time. Even Su Chen was no exception. It was a surreal scene. Renowned materials scientists and professors in the country were actually seeking advice from a young man. During this period, with Su Chen's help, they easily completed their own research work. They even expressed their gratitude to him in the acknowledgments of their research papers, fearing they might leave their mentor Su Chen out. The materials were being produced even faster than Su Chen had anticipated. A piece of initially completed material appeared in a vessel. It was Zhao Daru's first time seeing a material that changed according to energy fluctuations. She was mesmerized. It felt as if this material had a life of its own. Su Chen smiled calmly. It merely reacts to energy. As long as you control the energy, these materials can change into any shape according to your thoughts. At this point, Su Chen suddenly had an idea. By the way, what's your zodiac sign? I can make you a zodiac pendant. Zhao Daru was a bit surprised. You're so nice. I'm a rabbit. Su Chen was somewhat taken aback. Such a gentle zodiac sign? You don't seem like one. Zhao Daru chuckled lightly. How do I not seem like one? Rabbits can bite when they get anxious, but I don't need to rush to hit someone. Saying this, she showed her fist with a mischievous smile. A black line appeared on Su Chen's forehead. Hey, don't just stand there. Hurry up and make me a zodiac sign. Zhao Daru urged. Su Chen, don't rush. I'll make it now. Using the Laboratory-S laser cutter. It was easily made. Zhao Daru looked at the zodiac sign in front of her, somewhat confused. Are you a pig? Didn't you say you'd make me one first? Su Chen felt a bit embarrassed. This is a rabbit, okay? Zhao Daru couldn't hold it in anymore. Is your rabbit that fat? It's almost a ball. Forget it. It'll have to do. Saying this, she found a string, threaded it through the remaining hole. And a pendant was made just like that. She put it on herself, and she was quite satisfied. Su Chen shrugged helplessly. The hard work he put into creating this was just being treated as a makeshift solution. Although she said that, through the hidden smile in Zhao Daru's eyes, it was clear she actually liked it. By the way, Zhao Daru suddenly thought, Junior, This material doesn't have any radioactivity, right? Su Chen, of course it does. Zhao Daru suddenly tensed up, pretending to take off the pendant, but after hesitating for a moment, she asked, what does it emit? Su Chen smiled faintly. It emits charm. Zhao Daru's face turned red instantly. She felt like she had been teased. If it were someone else, she would have long since raised her hand to teach them a lesson. Throughout her life, anyone who dared to say such things to her had, without exception, faced her wrath. But at this moment, she hesitated. Was Su Chen complimenting her, or teasing her? It should be a compliment, right? After all, a person without charm couldn't emit charm no matter how hard they tried. She convinced herself that way. The material was completed, but there was still other research to conduct. It should be noted that the research on the particle laser cannon was not limited to materials. It also involved studies on destruction mechanisms, energy input and output. Next, Zhao Daru often saw Su Chen playing with the terrifying laser beams. Each time she felt anxious, fearing that Su Chen might accidentally harm himself. Just like that, a month passed. The particle laser cannon was finally completed. Inside the laboratory, on a huge platform, the particle laser cannon lay quietly. It looked exactly like the concept drawings. The cannon was made of a special alloy, and under the sunlight, it sparkled with a radiant and profound sheen like stars. Precise energy patterns, resembling mysterious totems, engraved with cutting-edge wisdom, exuded a strong sense of technology. Upon seeing this creation, everyone present couldn't help but exclaim in admiration. It felt as if a sci-fi weapon that could only appear in movies had come to reality. Su Chen looked at Chunming. Principal, has the Air Force Base been contacted? Chunming nodded. It's all set. We can head over for testing now. The laser cannon was completed, and the next step was testing. Lu Qingji was not at the Air Force Base because he was preparing for the mecha combat test. So Chunming helped coordinate with other officials there. Soon, they arrived at the Air Force Base and began testing. Chapter 25. All officers above the rank of team leader are called chief. At the rear of the Air Force Base lay mountains that stretched endlessly. This was also the training ground for pilots to practice their flying skills. Far from human cities, even if there were issues during flight, civilians would not be harmed. Su Chen and Zhao Daru arrived at the base. They were greeted by Wang Yong, the second-in-command at the Air Force Base, with the rank of colonel. Good day, Chief. Zhao Daru saluted Wang Yong. She glanced at Su Chen beside her, saw that he was unmoved, and quickly signaled him with her eyes, softly urging him. Junior, what are you dazed for? Hurry and greet the chief. Although Su Chen's research abilities were extraordinary, he still needed to show respect in front of the chief. Wang Yong quickly waved his hands upon hearing her words. No, how can Comrade Su Chen call me leader? Zhao Daru insisted on this, believing that as a senior, she had the ability to teach Su Chen, a student who had not yet entered society, the ways of the world. Therefore, she kept giving him signals. However, Su Chen remained completely unaffected. Nevertheless, he was polite enough to shake hands with Wang Yong and said, Senior Wang Yong, I'll trouble you later for the test. Wang Yong smiled and said, it's no trouble at all. Comrade Su Chen allowing us to assist in testing the new weapon is a recognition of our base. Please wait a moment, I'll go prepare. Su Chen nodded. After Wang Yong left, Zhao Daru immediately began to educate him. Junior, you need to address people properly. How can you call him senior? When facing leaders of the rank of regiment commander and above, you must call them leader. I don't blame you for not knowing these things since you haven't entered society yet. But remember this for the future. Especially leader Wang Yong. He is the second in command of our base, a colonel. You must address him as leader later. To be honest, someone who can patiently teach you the ways of the world without being overly authoritative is really quite good. Su Chen felt grateful. But what if he was on the same level as the other person? This unexpected question momentarily left Zhao Daru speechless. After a long while, she said, then it's up to you. Su Chen understood. That meant when facing a colonel, he should call them leader. If they were on the same level, it was up to him. Zhao Daru nodded. Exactly. Su Chen's lips curled into a slight mischievous smile. If that's the case, then I'm not wrong. The one who is wrong is actually the senior. Zhao Daru was taken aback. Why? How am I wrong? Su Chen smiled calmly, not intending to explain. At that moment, a female officer jogged over. She nodded at Zhao Daru and then saluted Su Chen. Leader, the testing site is ready. Leader Wang Yong sent me to escort you. Su Chen nodded slightly. Thank you for your hard work. Then he glanced at the stunned Zhao Daru. Senior, why are you standing there? We should go. Saying this, he confidently strode out. Zhao Daru quickly reacted and grabbed the hand of the female officer, Wang Li. This was her superior at the Air Force Base. Captain, what did you just call him? She pointed at Su Chen, astonished. Wang Li recalled, Leader. Why? Zhao Daru was shocked. Wang Li replied, Leader Su Chen holds the rank of colonel. Didn't you know this? Have you forgotten what I taught you? When facing leaders of the rank of regiment commander and above, you must call them leader. Zhao Daru's beautiful eyes widened in disbelief. At that moment, she finally understood what Su Chen had meant earlier. Her face instantly flushed. She had been teaching him how to address people, yet she had continually called him junior. According to her own reasoning, she should have been calling him leader. And all along, she had been addressing this leader as junior. Key point. Even Commander Lu Qingji didn't tell himself. No, wait. Zhao Daru suddenly realized. Su Chen is a senior colonel. He's only in his 20s. How could he be a senior colonel already? Hurry up and catch up. Your senior colonel has already gone far. Wang Li teased as she urged on. Zhao Daru, whose face was already flushed, turned even redder upon hearing this. There was no time to explain, so she immediately chased after him. Suchin glanced at this senior sister, who was tough but a bit silly, and found it amusing. Senior sister, you don't need to call me commander. Just call me junior as before. Go to hell. Zhao Daru, feeling embarrassed and angry, pinched Suchin's waist hard. In her view, whether it was a punch or a kick, Suchun might not be able to handle it. So she used the pinch to remind Suchun. If it weren't for the crowd around, Suchun would have really cried out. Damn woman, you're really ruthless. Are you here to protect me or to kill me? Zhao Daru clapped her hands and snorted. Just to tease you. From now on, we each stick to our roles. You call me senior sister, and I'll call you junior. As for commander, let others call you that. I won T. Suchun was unconvinced, showing his teeth. Just wait. There will be a time when you'll call me that. Suchun rubbed his waist as they arrived at the testing ground. In front of him were towering mountains. The particle laser cannon was unloaded from the vehicle. It was placed on a platform. The cannon was aimed at those high mountains. Wang Yong looked at the laser cannon, which seemed like an artifact from another era, and felt unprecedented excitement. However, after the excitement, another question arose. Comrade Suchun, how do you plan to test it? Suchun looked at the mountains. Isn't this a natural testing ground? Just fire away. By the way, Suchun suddenly thought, there's no plan to develop a tourist area here, right? Wang Yong paused. Not at all. Suchun was relieved. All right, everyone step back. Be careful not to get caught in the blast. The crowd stepped back. Not enough. Keep backing up. The crowd was stunned. Keep retreating. Until they had moved back 100 meters. Suchun was finally at ease. Then he controlled the particle laser cannon and pressed the launch button. Wang Yong and the others exchanged glances. They thought, although this laser cannon looked powerful, did it really require them to back up 100 meters? Just as this thought crossed their minds, the cannon's muzzle suddenly lit up, gathering for a moment, and a beam of destruction that seemed to come from hell shot out, directly blasting towards the towering mountain. Everyone's pupils dilated, as if they had seen a ghost. Chapter 26. The mountain? No, it's a big pit. The moment the straight laser cannon hit the mountain, the originally calm and solid mountain body seemed to be violently bitten by an ancient giant beast. Where the laser struck, the rocks were instantly torn apart by the high temperature and powerful shockwave, and huge boulders were thrown into the air with a loud cracking sound. The originally continuous mountain range seemed to be cleaved apart by an invisible giant axe, leaving a deep chasm that extended from the peak to the base. The power of the explosion resembled a miniature geological disaster, thoroughly disrupting the internal stress structure of the mountain, causing stones of all sizes to tumble down like a waterfall. Each boulder that was flung into the air carried a howling wind, reminiscent of the mountain's painful roar. The billowing dust rose like a massive mushroom cloud, blocking out the sun and instantly shrouding the once magnificent landscape in chaos. The scene before him felt like a disaster unfolding. The second in command of the base, Wang Yong, was deeply shocked by this sight. No wonder Suchun had ordered them to retreat. Such terrifying power could indeed pose a threat to them. And this was only the power of a single laser cannon. It should be noted that compared to conventional ammunition weapons, a particle laser cannon can achieve continuous fire as long as it has sufficient energy supply. It does not require ammunition loading like artillery. As long as the energy system can continuously provide power, it can maintain an attack state. This has a clear advantage when facing large-scale enemies or when sustained suppression of a target is needed. Once fired, it was followed by a continuous release. Powerful laser blasts triggered a series of violent explosions on the mountainside. Each explosion was accompanied by a deafening roar, as if thousands of ferocious dragons were roaring, making the earth tremble. The shockwaves from the explosions spread out with devastating force, uprooting vegetation and mercilessly destroying everything in their vicinity. The might of the particle laser cannon was like divine punishment from the heavens. In just a moment of bombardment, the once majestic mountain was left riddled with holes, shattered beyond recognition, as if it had been ravaged by time and war for millennia. At this moment, Wang Yong finally understood why Suchun had asked him if there were any tourism plans for this area. The mountain had been blasted into a giant pit. Where was the previous grandeur? If the Tourism Planning Bureau saw this, they would surely be furious. Seeing that it was nearly enough, Suchun figured that if they kept firing, this pit would truly become a wasteland. Wang Yong incredulously walked over to Suchun. Comrade Suchun, did you really develop this? This is simply a battlefield weapon of mass destruction. In just 2 or 3 minutes, the mountain has turned into this. If deployed on the battlefield, it could wipe out an entire regiment of enemies in minutes. At that moment, Wang Yong realized that the era had truly changed. Before Suchun could respond, Zhao Daru, standing nearby, answered for him. That's right, comrade. This is indeed made by Suchun. I can attest to it. I witnessed it with my own eyes. Even if Zhao Daru hadn't said anything, Wang Yong would have believed it to a large extent. After all, Suchun was the one who had developed mechas. Wang Yong looked again at the devastated mountain, and amidst his shock, he suddenly thought, Comrade Suchun, how many shots can this laser cannon fire in one energy supply? Suchun pondered for 2 seconds. This is closely related to energy. If it's the high-energy solid-state power source on the first-generation mecha, continuous firing for 5 minutes is not a problem. 5 minutes. Wang Yong almost dropped his jaw in shock. Just 2 or 3 minutes of continuous firing had turned the continuous mountain range into a ravine. If it lasted 5 minutes, it could flatten the entire mountainous area. Not only that, what about the range? I saw signs of being hit even at a great distance. The range of this laser cannon must be at least 30 kilometers, right? Wang Yong asked again. Su Chun smiled calmly. That's because I consciously controlled the laser cannon to fire at the mountainous area. If the laser weapon gathers enough energy, the maximum range can reach 100 kilometers. He didn't dare to raise the cannon's muzzle. Who knows what could be 100 kilometers away? It would be bad if there were any accidental injuries. Wang Yong trembled all over, clearly shocked by this 100-kilometer range. He found it hard to believe. Comrade Su Chun, is this true? You have to know that the cruising altitude of commercial airliners is only 9 to 12 kilometers. The detection altitude of meteorological balloons is only 3 to 4 kilometers. Are you going to shoot satellites with this 100 kilometers? Su Chun explained. Shooting satellites is a bit exaggerated. However, this is a weapon I designed for space warfare. 100 kilometers is not far. Space warfare. These 4 words exploded in Wang Yong's heart like thunder, just as he was still excited about the application of the particle laser cannon in terrestrial warfare. He didn't expect that Su Chun's vision had already shifted to the farther universe. No wonder he was the one who created the mecha. His foresight, courage, and capability shocked Wang Yong. At that moment, he seemed to see the future, with the fleet of the nation galloping through the universe, with the particle laser cannon, conquering everywhere, planting the red flag all over the universe. What an inspiring sight. Wang Yong couldn't help but grab Su Chun's hand tightly. Comrade Su Chun, I am looking forward to the day our country conquers the universe. Zhao Deru, standing beside them, was witnessing the second-in-command being so excited for the first time. What excited him so much was just a young man. Of course, at this moment, she understood Wang Yong's feelings. It was indeed a weapon of tremendous power. And the developer of this weapon was her junior, Su Chun. She seemed to realize why Su Chun had become the youngest colonel. But the more she thought about it, the more curious she became. What exactly was the reason that made him a colonel? Su Chun had no idea what Zhao Deru was imagining. After the successful test, they returned to the laboratory. Su Chun Zhengli La Soyo Shriyang Sujit. After spending 2 days, all the experimental data and related logs were sorted out. Next, he prepared to install the particle laser cannon onto the first-generation mecha for another round of testing. Just at that moment, his satellite phone suddenly rang. It was Lu Qingji calling. I'm sorry, Su Chun, I'm busy with the mecha combat test. I heard you're going to test a weapon. I asked Major General Chun Ming to coordinate with the base. It shouldn't have delayed anything, right? Su Chun, rest assured, Chief, there was no delay. The test has already concluded, and I've returned to the base. That's good to hear. Lu Qingji sighed in relief. He continued. I'm afraid you'll need to come to the base one more time. The combat test has been planned. And you need to come to the base now, so we can head to the Eastern Theater Air Force Base, which has the strongest Air Force capabilities. For the combat test, Su Chun was taken aback. He didn't expect the combat test would start so soon. The testing of the particle laser cannon mounted on the first-generation mecha can just fit into this combat test. Thinking of this, Su Chun immediately said, Okay, Chief. I'll head to the base right away. Chapter 27. The mountain has become a pit. Let's strike again. At the Air Force Base Command Center. Sunlight poured through the enormous and heavy glass dome, cascading down like golden threads, casting a patchwork of light and shadow on the ground. Lu Qingji had just disembarked from the plane and rushed towards the military base. On the way, he called Su Chun to come to the base to prepare for the trip to the Eastern Theater. As soon as he arrived at the base, he saw Wang Yong waiting for him. Commander Lu, you're back. Wang Yong greeted him. Lu Qingji hurriedly asked, Why are you waiting for me here? Do I need a welcome when I go home? Wang Yong chuckled and didn't he say much. By the way, I just called Su Chun, and he said the test for the new weapon was quite successful. Lu Qingji added. Wang Yong was taken aback, a complex smile on his face. Not just successful. It was incredibly successful. Lu Qingji paused. Just what? Wang Yong seemed a bit hesitant but thought for a moment and said, There's something I need to clarify with you. Lu Qingji sensed something unusual about Wang Yong today and looked at him suspiciously. Go ahead and ask. Wang Yong spoke. There shouldn't be any plans to develop a tourist area at the test flight site behind our base, right? Lu Qingji was taken aback and immediately replied. Of course there are. The mountain range behind the base is magnificent, with towering peaks and cascading waterfalls. It's a prime spot waiting to be developed into a tourist destination. After tourists get tired of exploring, they can also enjoy watching our aircraft soaring through the skies. I just can't bear to leave the base for the capital. It's because of the endless scenery behind our mountain. As he spoke, Lu Qingji couldn't help but show a hint of pride. He personally chose the location of this base. In his spare time, sitting on a stool and watching the sunset as the aircraft cut through the sky is simply beautiful. Hearing this, Wang Yong's expression grew increasingly complex. Don't joke with me. I haven't heard anything about a tourist area being built here. Lu Qingji noticed his reaction and felt something was off. What's going on? It's just a tourist area being built, right? Why do I feel like you're hiding something from me? Wang Yong had no choice but to say, You should report this to the higher-ups. This tourist area, I see, is unlikely to be completed. Lu Qingji furrowed his brow slightly. What do you mean? Please follow me. Wang Yong turned and walked towards the test flight area behind the base. The confusion on Lu Qingji's face deepened. He followed him to the test flight area. Soon after, when he saw the current state of the test flight area, the brain of this former major general, who had truly experienced the baptism of the battlefield, seemed to stop functioning at that moment. He widened his eyes, his mouth slightly open, looking utterly bewildered. The once majestic and continuous mountains were now enveloped in a deathly silence reminiscent of the apocalypse. The peaks seemed to have been recklessly squeezed by an enormous and violent hand, and the originally towering and steep mountains were now shattered. Huge boulders lay scattered on the ground like remnants of fortifications hit by shells, forming layers of dust. The slopes, once covered with dense vegetation, now appeared stripped of their green cover, leaving only bare, shattered rocks and scorched earth. The rising dust made these once vibrant mountains look like an abandoned, lifeless ancient ruin. After a long while, he finally reacted. He turned slightly to look at Wang Yong. What is going on? I leave for just a few days, and the test flight area has turned into this mess? Wang Yong wore a gushao. They just tested